A hand clamps over the girl's mouth and drags her backward while a voice screams to grab the other one. Two men pin a boy against the alley wall and twist his arms until the bone begins to grind. The man with the cigarette leans close, smoke curling off his lip, and says he finally found the skeleton bastard. The scream that answers tears down the whole street and not one door opens. But all of it started somewhere quieter, in a city that never noticed the boy living underneath it. 3 years earlier, under a high-voltage sign, a boy fights for his life as green light bursts from his hands. He locks his arms around his attacker, a glowing blade between them, certain that capture means the end. Palms meet. Blue lightning splits the rain and a sword drinks the current straight out of the storm. The men closest to him burn where they stand, screaming inside the electric bloom. It does not matter what they do to his body. Inside his chest beats the heart of resurrection. Half bone, half flesh, a pink core burning in his ribs, he tells the rain he will not die. His name is Kim Ji-oh, and the heart in his hands is the reason the world will not let him rest. There are hearts in this world that are not ordinary, feathered, mechanical, glowing like a small pink sun. A mutation in a tiny fraction of people, granting abilities the human body was never built to hold. They were called heart mutants, and they were hunted through burning ruins with rifles and creeping vines. People envied that power anyway. They called it a blessing handed down from God. A blessing. Crouched over a dumpster in a torn coat, Ji-oh almost laughs at the word. This heart is the entire reason he is here, sitting in trash with an empty bottle in his hand. Right now he only needs food. The hunger has gone past pain into something close to madness. Bread freshly thrown out, one bite already torn from it, flies circling the hole. It does not even smell bad. He eats it there in the dust of the empty lot. Something moves behind him. A small brown dog has come to sit beside the bins. He asks if it is hungry too, offers what is left, and tells it quietly that it is a good boy. By evening there are cats and dogs asleep around him, and voices drifting in from outside. He edges toward the iron door. The lab has found him on less warning than this. 4 men have a girl cornered, telling her to come have some fun and stop being difficult. Not the lab, then. Just neighborhood thugs with nothing better to do this evening. She says she is a high school student. One of them answers that high schoolers know how things work. Then he notices the bag she is clutching. Dog food. She came here to feed the strays. He steps out of the shadow behind them without making a single sound. They turn. A black coat, a red-spotted cloth over the face. One of them asks if he is some hobo. He answers that he is not a hobo, and the blond man's laugh dies in his throat. The scream that follows bends the whole alley and scatters birds off the roofline. Bone-faced, red cloth at his throat, a heavy blade in his fist, he tells them to get lost. They run. One of them is still shouting that it is a ghost. The girl is still down on the ground where they left her, and she stammers out a thank you. Then he turns toward her in the low light, and she sees the skull. She screams at him to stay back, both hands thrown up over her face. He does not come closer. He crouches instead over the fallen bag of dog food. The bag is torn open. Molu-free dog, a smiling puppy printed on the label. He apologizes for frightening her, then asks almost shyly whether he may eat some of it. It talks, she shrieks, and she is gone across the lot at a dead sprint. He lowers the hand that was still reaching out. He knew it. She ran. It is fine, he tells himself, chewing. At least now he can eat the dog food in peace. She stops somewhere down the street, shaking, unable to make sense of what she saw. Was that even a living person? Could anything still be alive in a condition like that? Then it lands on her all at once. He might be a heart mutant. Heart mutants have all kinds of abilities, and he saved her, and she was so rude to him. He is kneeling among the dogs when a pair of white sneakers stops in front of him. She holds something out. If he is hungry, would he like this? It is a sandwich. From Subway. For him? He looks up slowly as though the words might dissolve. For him. She apologizes for running just because of his face. He insists he does not mind at all. It is the first time anyone has handed him food while he looked like this. One bite and the world stops. Food like this exists. The flavor is overwhelming. The vegetables, the bread, the meat, all of it fresh. He says he could die happy now. She sits with a dog in her arms, and to him the air around her looks like falling feathers. She asks what she should call him. Mr. Skeleton? Mr. Bone Man? Neither sounds right. He covers his face with both hands before he answers. Ji-oh. Kim Ji-oh. Nice to meet you, Mr. Ji-oh, she smiles up at him. Her name is Song Hye-ji. She asks why he lives out here. He says he is hiding because the lab is still chasing him. A laboratory, she repeats slowly. Chasing him. Right here, a few streets from her school. There is a research facility that captures heart mutants like him, and it wants him back. She has heard of places like that. Barely able to speak, she asks what they did to him. Well, he says, and covers what is left of his mouth with one hand. 10 years chained to a floor. Poison fed to him to test drugs. Organs cut out to check transplant compatibility. 10 years, she repeats, and her hand comes up over her mouth before she can stop it. Because he carries the heart of resurrection, whatever is done to his body grows it back. That is why he ended up looking this hideous, he says, and turns his skull away. She looks straight at him without flinching once, and she does not look away. Then she is on her feet, telling him to come with her. Right now. Where? He asks, already being pulled along. It will only take a second, she says. She stops short in the middle of the street, still gripping him. His hand, he says. His hand. Even looking like this, he thinks, with the petals coming down. A girl is holding his hand. If she grabs it that suddenly he starts to warn her, it will come. The wrist snaps clean off in her palm, the fingers still curled around hers. She panics over the loose hand. He tells her calmly that it falls off sometimes. If he lines it up right, it reattaches. She hides her face and asks where they were going. Whatever she pulls out of the shopping bag stops him in the middle of a sentence. His clothes were too worn, she explains. A wig and normal clothes, and people will stop staring. They are cheap, she warns. They will not last long. He says they are wonderful. That snug feeling, as if he has skin again. That warmth, as if every hair is real. Wait, she says, taking his jaw in her hand. They are not finished yet. His face still shows, and he has no ears to hold a mask, so she will cover it with makeup. Ta-da, he says. Glasses balanced on a skull, a fanged grin, both arms thrown wide open. She apologizes. It is her first time doing makeup on a skull. He loves it before seeing a mirror. Then her phone lights up and she panics. She is late for her academy. It was nice meeting him, she calls, already walking backward under the evening sky. Take care of the puppies for her, she shouts, and the dogs swirl around his legs. Her name is, he says out loud to an empty street full of sleeping dogs, Song Hayeji. He says it twice more, quietly to make sure he keeps it. She asked him to watch the puppies. Does that mean she is coming back tomorrow? In the lab, every face above him wore a mask, and one of those masks is already looking for him again. Everyone he met while running fled the moment they got a look at him. She is the first person who ever treated him like a human being. It is all thanks to the dog, he says. Without him, he would have left before meeting Hyeji. Gamja, he decides, and the dog barks. So the dog likes it too. Gamja, he says to the dog, that thing called Subway was really delicious. And she bought him clothes and talked to him. She must be a real angel. He is looking forward to tomorrow. If he stays here, he will see her again. Then he goes very still among the sleeping animals, and the smile drains off him. His eye sockets stretch wide in the dark as the thought finally catches up with him. He is being hunted, and he has just placed the only kind person he knows directly beside that. He should leave here. He tells the fence and the dogs behind it. He needs to go back where he belongs, which is nowhere anybody lives. So he walks out of the neighborhood alone, under windows lit for families he will never have. Somewhere far off, a figure in a red coat and an iron mask crouches low and starts moving. Gio wakes on a filthy concrete floor among broken bottles and torn plastic bags. Something warm is squirming in his hand. He opens his fingers. A mouse. He collapsed because he was walking with nowhere to go. He should stop sleeping just anywhere. He is hungry again, the way he has been hungry for 10 straight years. At least he had the sense to bring some of that dog food with him. He will think about Subway while he eats. If he imagines hard enough, maybe it will taste similar. The green bits are lettuce, the yellow bits are bread, the brown bits are meat. It almost works. Then he freezes in the middle of chewing, with the food still halfway to his teeth. A huge brown dog is standing over his meal with its eyes stretched wide. Gamja, he yells, down on both knees in the dust. He absolutely cannot eat that. The dog keeps chewing away, entirely unbothered by the crisis it has just caused. Wait, Gamja? He says the name again and the animal wags its whole body. How did the dog get here? Don't tell me. If Gamja is here, then... For once in his life, he was glad his face was nothing but bare skull. She is running at him in tears, demanding to know how he could leave without saying goodbye. She almost could not find him, she says, kneeling in the dirt among the dogs. She spent the whole day searching, and she found him because the dogs still remembered his scent. The strays crowd around the bowls she set down, one of them already asleep in the dirt. She wandered for hours looking for him. He apologizes. She scolds him for wandering in that condition. He thought staying with her would eventually make him a burden. Still, he is glad she found him. Even this little one was worried, she says, and Gamja pushes into his arms. She empties a convenience store bag onto the ground. Milk, soda, sausage, candy. He only had one sandwich yesterday and has not eaten properly since, so she bought a few things. Try this, she says, and pours milk straight into an open box of cookies. Cookies and milk. He stares at it. He does not understand what he is looking at. A skeletal hand closes around the tray, chocolate sticks glistening under a layer of cream. It is a taste that brings tears to his eye sockets. He says it out loud, chewing. His brain is melting, he insists. She laughs at his face and tells him to try the cola too. Then something changes in his arm. Bone knits itself back together where there was nothing. Really, she says, leaning in close enough to watch the bone finish itself. They both stare at the seam of new bone knitting shut in front of them. Does it always come back in pieces like this? Will full recovery take days? It usually takes several years, he says, and she nearly drops the can in her hand. That is only if he uses food. She asks what the other methods are. He could absorb a large amount of blood. He decides not to mention it because it would frighten her. It is a method only possible at the laboratory, he says instead. For now, eating well is enough. So the lab healed him back then? Yes, because they needed him intact to keep experimenting. That is why they chase him this hard, no matter where he hides. Then it occurs to her, all at once, the reason he left without a word. If she stays involved with him, she will be in danger too. She does not have to be kind to him anymore. Her answer is to stand up and announce they are going to the police station right now. Even at a police station, he says, he was treated as a monster there and almost shot. Do not worry about that, she says. Her older sister is a police officer. And exactly like him, she says, leaning in, her sister is a heart variant too. Her sister is a heart variant, he repeats, and she nods like it is nothing. He looks at the ground for a long moment without answering. Still, he says. Trust her just this once, she says, sitting in the dirt and grinning. Her sister is genuinely kind. He stares at her for a long moment, and something in him gives way. She will be home early today, she calls, walking ahead of him into the light. They will hear from the shelter soon, she tells the dogs. They have to behave. Gamja pants happily in the dust beside them with his tongue hanging out sideways. He is being helped again, he says, and rests a hand on the brown dog's head. Thank you, Gamja. This time he will not run away like a coward and he will come back to see him again. It is the first time, he thinks, watching her walk away down the road. After 3 years of running and being hunted, somebody reached out to him first. The feeling is strange that there exists a person willing to help him. Can he live without running now? He should have known better than to ask that out loud. He steps into a narrow street in a white hood, glasses balanced on a skull. Something hits him so hard that his glasses go spinning across the asphalt. A black van tears down the middle of the road with debris flying off its bumper. He hits the ground with his mouth open, unable to make a sound. A crowd of men closes in around them, one of them raising a bat. A lighter flares above him and lights up a jaw he has never seen before. Take him, the boss says, and make him pay for everything on the way. 3 black cars swing out onto the curving road with their doors still open. A rope drags him across raw asphalt behind them, peeling him open as it goes. He screams on the road while 2 of them lie still beside him. He tears forward anyway, blood spraying from his own limbs. He has to stop them. Because of him. All of this, every part of it, because of him. 2 men haul Hyeji away with a sack over her head, right down the middle of the street. A fist lands somewhere behind him and blood goes up in a sheet. With this garbage of an ability, he is yanked back off his feet by the rope. He cannot do anything at all. He is begging out loud now, for someone, for anyone. And then a big brown shape drops down from the top of the embankment. Dogs pour past him on both sides, biting at the rope that is dragging him. The pack hauls him bodily down the road, kicking up dust behind the van. The black car keeps going down the road and the dogs keep coming. They pin one of the men flat to the ground and stand over him, snarling. A man in black tightens his grip on the blade in his fist. 4 pairs of polished shoes step down onto the wet floor, unhurried. Have these mutts gone crazy, one of them says. It is not even peak summer yet. A dog goes down under a boot and something in Geo breaks open. A man swings a pipe into a dog's ribs while 2 others hold it still. Get up, he tells himself, face in the gravel. The dogs are fighting in his place. He has to do something, and what he does next is the reason the lab never stopped hunting him. They are getting hurt, and he cannot lift his own arm off the ground. Blood. He will absorb the blood those thugs spilled. Not much, but enough to regenerate a little. Move, he tells the arm that is no longer properly attached to him. A white hand claws its way out of a red puddle and grips the asphalt. Please, he begs the sky, if his body can just recover a fraction. Then he sees what is lying in the road on the other side of him. His eye sockets go white, and everything behind them goes very quiet indeed. Gamja is down on the wet asphalt with his mouth hanging open and his eyes half shut. A small dog lies curled on the ground beside him with its eyes closed. A white one lies just past it, tongue out, and it is not moving. Kong ah, he says. Deoku, Eoluk. He says every single name he ever gave them. A man in a brown coat brings the pipe down on another one. 10 years. He says the number to himself like he is measuring something. For 10 years in that laboratory he suffered. Every morning he opened his eyes to the same routine. Blood injected, organs removed, torture repeated daily. He could not die even when he wanted to. He planned an escape for years, and by pure luck he got out. He thought he would finally be happy once he was outside those walls. Instead, the people out here despised him and came at him with hammers and spray cans. Everyone thought of him as a monster, and he sat in garbage and agreed with them. Then the heart in his chest starts beating so hard the skin splits over it. The dogs and Hieji. 2 things in 10 years that were ever his. They treated him like a human being, and nobody else in his life ever had. He comes up off the ground like something fired out of the barrel of a gun. He crosses the wreckage in one motion, blood trailing behind him in ribbons. He screams, and the air for 20 meters in every direction turns red. The blood on the road spirals up off the asphalt and disappears into him. A pale hand swings something through the dark faster than anyone can track. The first man goes down without ever understanding what it was that reached him. His eyes come up red, whole face slick, every wound sealing as it opens. A man clutches at his own chest and staggers back into a wall. His body, Gio says, holding it up in front of his own face. It has fully returned. He turns the hand over and there is skin on it, just like when he was young, when blood used to circulate through him like a storm. No way, one of them breathes and starts backing slowly toward the open van. He kneels among the dogs and understands exactly whose blood brought him back. What is with that guy, boss? One of them stammers. His body regenerated completely. What do you mean, what do we do? The bald one snaps. Just catch him again. 5 black blades rise up into the air in a neat and very patient row. A man coughs blood out through his fingers with his eyes already bleeding. A hand closes around a throat and lifts a grown man clean off the road. A body slumps on the road beside a hole punched clean through the van. Gio gathers a small brown and white body up off the road against his chest. He holds Gamja there, filthy and shaking, and he does not let go of him. He knows the method to die in the most painful way possible, he tells them. 3 men start screaming at once, and none of them are screaming words. Hiji, he says, still holding the dog against him, where exactly did you take her? A gray 2-story house sits behind an iron fence, quiet enough that nobody would ask questions. 3 black cars are parked on the bare dirt outside its gate, engines still ticking. A hand yanks the sack off her head and the light comes in too fast. Who the hell are these people, she screams, kneeling on the floor of a room full of pipes and tanks. Then she sees what is behind them, and the shouting dies in her throat. Men stand in a ring around her, and the room is not empty. Where is this, she says. Where is she? Nobody bothers to answer her. Bodies are slumped on the concrete, and one man is holding an axe. This little brat is loud, one of them says, and takes a fistful of her hair. Does she have a few spare lives lying around? He asks, almost kindly. Do not blame them. Blame the skeleton freak. She got dragged into this because she helped him. So if she wants to keep living, she keeps her mouth shut about it. Nobody in this part of the city cares if a couple of people die. A phone buzzes in someone's palm and the whole room goes quiet for it. The boss answers, cigarette between his teeth, and asks why they are calling instead of coming back. Where's the skeleton bastard, he says into the phone. And what about the dogs? The skeleton turned into a human, the boss repeats, very slowly, out loud. What the hell is he saying? Speak clearly. What happened with the dogs? Dogs, Hieji thinks, sweat running down her face. The dogs came to help him. The skeleton, the man on his knees says into the phone. They lost him. Useless piece of trash, the boss screams. Does he have any idea what that thing is worth? If they do not bring him back tonight, all of them are dead men. Then the boss turns on her. She knows where the skeleton went, spit it out. Talk! He screams into her face, red to the ears. Does she know how much money that is? She does not know. Of course she does not know, he says, smiling. Let's see if a few extra breathing holes jog her memory, and the knife comes down. Mister said he was being chased, she thinks through the blood. She was so stupid. He drags her up by the hair with the blade at her mouth. Then something comes through the window behind them and takes him off his feet. Bodies scatter across the room, and the men still standing grab for their weapons. A figure is standing in the window frame with the daylight burning behind him. The boss looks up at him with the cigarette forgotten between 2 fingers. "Who is that brat?" he says, and nobody in the room can tell him. Some homeless beggar, the tattooed one decides, and moves in with a knife. He never finishes the swing. He never even finishes turning all the way around. "How is he this strong?" the man chokes out, feet leaving the floor. "Because of you people," the boy says, without raising his voice at all. "All the dogs died," he says, and squeezes until the man stops kicking. "Kill him!" someone screams, and the whole room comes apart in a single second. A fist catches him square in the face, and he barely turns his head. He lowers his chin. Black hair, no skull, nothing left of the monster they were told to expect. A man bites down on his own knuckles to keep from making a sound. 2 of them go over the edge of the roof together, still holding on. "Got you," one of them snarls, hauling him back down by the collar. A purple-haired man drives a knife straight through the side of his throat. Blood runs out of his nose and down his chin, and he is still smiling. He drops back down into the middle of them with the blade flashing. 2 men stare at each other in the dark, realizing this is not going the way they were told. "You people," he says quietly, and it is the quiet in it that frightens them. "You were the ones sent here by Hermes' lab," he says, "weren't you?" Hyeji's mouth opens on the floor behind them. "Don't tell me," she thinks. "Don't." He kneels in the blood with his hood up and only the red eyes showing. "That is it," someone shouts from the back. "That brat is the skeleton." The brokers warned he might be unrecognizable after regenerating. He almost did not recognize himself. A blade punches straight through his chest and comes out the other side of him. "Thanks for crawling right into their trap," the man with the gun says. "Bring out every gun from the deal," the boss orders, and the room begins to bark. If they catch him, they make far more money anyway. None of them will live long enough to spend it. "Shoot him until he cannot regenerate anymore," the boss screams over all the noise. "Do not stop," he screams. "Keep firing until there is nothing left of him." It hurts, he thinks, with his hair flattened down against a bleeding face. His flesh is tearing off him in strips, and he feels every single one. His bones are shattering somewhere deep inside him where he cannot reach them. His lungs must be torn open too. He can barely pull in any air. "Stop it!" Hyeji screams from the floor, with the tears running off her chin. "Stubborn son of a bitch," one of them says. He finally went down. He lies there breathing wet, with the blood spilling out of his mouth onto the tile. A hand touches the floor, and the floor answers it back with a heartbeat. The hand comes up off the concrete, and then the arm follows it. From the ground, he looks up at the 3 men standing over him with their guns. Deep inside his chest, something red opens up slowly like an eye. "Boss!" one of them screams, and his voice does not sound like his own. "This guy's coming back to life," another one says, and keeps shooting. "He is getting up like a zombie," another one says, and his voice cracks on the word. The kick that answers takes a man off his feet and paints the ceiling. "Are they going to stand there and watch?" the boss screams. "Do something, shoot." Around tears clean through him, and he does not break his stride at all. They are not just piercing him, they are shattering him, and his body keeps putting itself back. The pain repeats and repeats, and yet it does not hurt as much as he expected. Compared to, he thinks, as another shot opens his shoulder down to the bone. Everything he had already survived inside a room that had no windows in it. Something enormous comes down out of the smoke, and the floor bursts open beneath it. The experiments and the torture, he says, grinning through the red, those were far worse. A man screams with his whole body, and nobody comes to help him. A body flies up off the ground, and something drops onto it from above. "So bullets like these," he says, holding one of them up to the light. He can take as many of them as they have left in the boxes. "He's floating," one of them whispers from the back. "The guy is floating." The next punch folds a grown man in half in the middle of the air. The boss screams at his own bleeding fist as though it betrayed him. What actually drives him mad, Gio says, is something else entirely. Another man leaves the floor and does not come down anywhere near where he started. And another, until the whole room is nothing but noise and dust. "Those kids who protected him," he says, and something in his voice breaks. He will never, he says, and cannot make himself finish the rest of the sentence. "Stay back!" a man shouts down at him from the very top of the wreckage. Stay back or he shoots this brat, and the gun swings toward Hyeji's head. His arm comes apart at the elbow before he can finish the sentence. The last man on his feet goes out through the side of a parked car. Gio crouches beside a cracked wall, breathing like the air costs him something. Blood and sweat run off his face in the middle of the empty room. He screams once into the empty room, and it does not sound anything like victory. "Please spare him," the boss babbles, both hands up. "He will do anything they want." "Too late," he says, and he does not raise his voice at all. The floor cracks apart under the impact and swallows both of them at once. The boss shrieks somewhere inside the rubble, and then he stops shrieking entirely. A hand closes over the man's whole face and slowly begins to squeeze. The two of them slam straight through an entire wall of industrial piping. Gio's teeth are bared, and the whole world behind him looks like broken glass. Then it is over, and he is just a boy sitting in the light from a window. Blood drips off his fingers onto clean white tile, one drop at a time. He stands over the last one, still breathing with his fist already drawn back. He walks out through a room full of bodies without looking at any of them. "Mister," Hiji says behind him, and it is barely a sound at all. A bare foot steps forward in the dark, and then, after a moment, another one. He crosses the floor toward her without knowing what his face is doing. She sits exactly where they left her and watches him come toward her. "Is he really okay?" she sobs, reaching for him. "He was shot so many times." "Thank goodness," she says, and holds onto his ruined shirt with both hands. He looks down at her and cannot make his own face work properly. "That he is alive," she says, with both hands full of his ruined shirt. "The puppies died saving him," he says, and the words come out flat. But he was so scared, he says, that she might have died too. "Since she is alive," he says, and then the tears finally come. "Thank you." Why is he thanking her, she asks, when she caused every part of this? A hand settles on her back, very carefully as though she might break under it. He holds on, and neither of them says anything else for a while. "Move faster," an officer barks at his men. "Take every suspect into custody." "A violent incident caused by gang infighting," the report says. "They did all this to each other?" From the tree line above, two figures watch the patrol cars fill up the yard. Hiji told them to stay out of it. Things get complicated once a heart mutant is involved. She said she would handle it, so they leave, and the moon comes up over the trees. Then, in the dark under the trees, she finally breaks and starts to sob. He kneels beside three small bodies laid out on the ground and says he is sorry. Baduki, Siru, Tengu, Choco, Bioli, Maru. He says every one of their names. "It is her fault," she says, holding one of them. "They followed her. She could not take responsibility for them. She kept them warm for a moment, fed them for a moment." "That is not true," he snaps, teeth clenched. "They died giving their blood to him." "What is he doing?" she screams, grabbing at the wrist he just opened. "If he absorbs blood, he recovers. If his blood is special, maybe he can bring them back like himself." He tears his own hand open, and the blood twists into a shape that is not blood. "Damn it," he says, staring at the closing wound. "Why is he healing so fast?" He screams with his mouth full of his own blood and keeps trying. "Stop it," she says, gripping his wrist. "The dogs would only be sadder." "Sadder? They died because of him," he says. "Would they not resent him instead?" "Resent him?" "The dogs adored him," she says. She knows it for a fact. "They normally kept their distance from people, growling at anyone who came close. They kept their distance from people," he repeats, not understanding it yet. "These dogs carried scars from being beaten. They had every reason to hate humans. He had no idea," he says. "He thought they were simply gentle animals. So if he tears himself apart over this, their hearts will ache too." He gathers one of them off the ground and holds it against his chest. The fact that they came straight to him without hesitating even once. It means they recognized somebody who was in exactly the same condition they were. "Thank you," he says, and the two of them sit under the trees without speaking. Then something very small pushes out of the grass and comes toward them. "It is Gamja's puppy," she says, and drops to her knees in the grass. She was worried sick when she could not find it anywhere, and it is alive. It walks straight past her outstretched hands without slowing down at all. "It is looking at him," she says, and neither of them dares move. "You do not hate me?" he asks it. "Because of me, your friends and your mother all died." The puppy pushes its whole head into his open palm and stays there. "This little one likes him too," she says, wiping her face on her sleeve. It falls asleep in his hands mid-wag, and he does not yet know he will lose it tomorrow. What does she do now? She cannot leave a newborn out here. Maybe she should take it home. And what about him? Those men from the lab were not ordinary criminals. "Hold on a second," she says, already dialing. She is calling her sister. She handled it the way her sister said, but she does not know where to go now. "Understood. See you later." "A home," he thinks in the doorway. "Come in," she says. "Make yourself comfortable." He stops at the doorway with the puppy in his arms. Is it really all right for someone as dangerous as him to enter? He risked his life to protect her, she says, dropping her bag. How exactly is he dangerous? Her sister wants to meet him too. There is a case she is working, and it seems connected to the lab hunting him. Anyway, it is fine, so come in, and something in his eyes finally spills over. Then he catches sight of the mirror beside the door and starts screaming. "What is wrong?" she shouts, running to him with her shoes half off. He has cheeks, he has a nose, he has lips. His face came back. He did not know. His face has not regenerated properly since he was small, because they experimented on it every time it tried. So this is what he looked like, he says, both hands flat against the glass. The more they talk, the worse it gets, but something has been bothering her for a while now. Now that he is fully regenerated, he does not look like a middle-aged man at all. How old is he exactly? His age. It has been a long time since he thought about that. He went in at 7, sat the year-end test 7 times, and 3 seasons have turned since he escaped. 17, she repeats, and nearly chokes on a whole mouthful of water. Then they are the same age. Why on earth did he let her keep calling him Mister? He rubs the back of his head. He just liked being addressed like a person. She stares at him with the bottle frozen exactly halfway to her mouth. That is genuinely sad, she decides out loud, and also somehow extremely cute. From now on, they use names and drop the formalities. Now go wash up, they are eating. The puppy attacks a bowl of food in the middle of the kitchen floor. He stands at the window afterward, clean, in borrowed clothes, not quite believing the room. It is delicious, he announces to the room. The food is warm and delicious. It is only soy sauce egg rice, she says, embarrassed. She is not really a good cook. It is the best food he has had in years, he tells her. Her sister said something came up and she cannot make it today. Work, probably. The table is left with empty bowls and a smear of red sauce. He can sleep here tonight, she says, pointing at the sofa. Why can he not sleep somewhere like this? He would be honored, but the floor is fine for him. She hands him a blanket anyway. She has homework, so she is going to her room. He should sleep first. And then he is alone in a living room with lamps and books and a plant. He stands very still in the middle of it, holding a stuffed bear he does not remember picking up. Televisions are that thin and that big. People bring flowers into their homes. It is nothing like the lab. Sofas are this soft. Softer than the bed he slept on for 10 years. The puppy shoves its whole head into a plastic bowl and rattles it. Then it finds something else on the floor and starts chewing on that. He turns around from the sofa and his jaw comes open on its own. The puppy chews down harder, tail going, entirely pleased with itself. Little guy, he screams, up on his feet with the tears already coming down. He leaps off the sofa in one motion and lands badly on the rug. He stands over the bowl with his hand raised and no idea what to do with it. The puppy looks up at him with its ears out and its tail going. It is nothing, he calls toward the bedroom door, sweating through his shirt. Later, he lies in the dark with the puppy sitting on his knees. It is warm and soft and he loves it, buried under a blanket covered in cartoon animals. You like it here too, don't you, he says, and the tail thumps twice. What should he name it, since it is Gamja's puppy? Gamja means potato. French fries. How about Twigim, he decides, and the puppy licks his hand. From now on, its name is Twigim. Twigim closes its eyes and licks its own nose twice in its sleep. It is warm, he thinks, lying there. So this is the thing they call happiness. He ate a good meal at a table with somebody sitting across from him. He washed himself with warm water and laughed out loud alone in the steam. And now he gets to sleep somewhere soft like this. But, he thinks, these are exactly the kinds of things that end up getting taken away. Run, everyone, someone screams in a corridor that he remembers far too well. A line of patients in white sprints down a dark hallway, the one in front wearing a skull for a face. They are all Class A heart mutants or higher. Do not let a single one escape. 2 bodies collide in the hallway, and the wall behind them simply stops existing. He crawls out of the crater with the tiles cracking under his hands. A guard drops to one knee in the smoke and opens fire down the hall. The corridor turns into fire and noise and the sound of running feet. More of them come through the smoke with their rifles already up in level. Kimjio! A girl screams, spikes of ice tearing out of the air around her. Snap out of it. He drags himself forward past a body on the tiles that is not moving. His eyes come up hard out of the dust, and they are not a child's eyes. 2 faces meet across the wreckage, and neither one of them looks away. Get out, she screams, arm flung toward the light. The exit is not far. Right, he says, still down on the floor with one hand raised toward her. A crowd of children in white runs toward an opening full of blinding light. They got separated at the very end. Right now, the others might be somewhere, suffering all over again. That is why he will never let it be taken from him again. Not even this small scrap of peace, and the heart in his chest glows red as he thinks it. If anyone touches it, he thinks, watching the red light in his own chest. Then no matter who they are, he will not let them walk away. A scream tears down the street between two long rows of apartment towers. Sneakers hammer the pavement past shuttered shops and rows of parked cars. "Twig him!" he yells, sprinting flat out down the middle of the road. "Twig him! Twig him, where are you?" he sobs, and all that resolve lasts exactly one day. She is heading to school, she calls, tying her shoes. "School," he repeats. Her sister will be back this evening, so he should keep an eye on the house. "This evening," he repeats, and something inside his chest quietly tightens up. She waves from the doorway and tells him to have a good day. School must be fun, he thinks. Then the puppy starts clawing at the door and crying to be let out. "Twig him! What is wrong?" she says. The little paws keep hammering the wood. He does not seem sick. Maybe he is bored. Does he want to go out? She has to leave right now. He offers to take him for a quick walk. "Will that be all right?" she asks. "What if dangerous people chase them again?" "It is fine. Nobody would recognize him now that his face is back." "Well," she admits, adjusting her bag on her shoulder, "that is a relief. If he walks him, he has to use the leash." Second drawer. The door code is 4 digits, she rattles off. Outside, he attempts to attach a leash to an animal that has opinions about it. He cannot undo that, he warns, too late, as the puppy flips onto its back, howling. Did he tie it too tight, he wonders, crouching down beside it, genuinely alarmed? Does it hurt him? He wore a collar exactly like this one himself once. If he moved, current ran through it and burned him from the inside out. Somebody still owns that collar. But he has no choice. People will not like it if the dog runs loose. "Please forgive him," he says, and then stares at the empty collar in his hand. "You know how to escape, too," he says to an empty collar in his hand. "Twig him," he screams, and he is already running before the word has finished landing. "Twig him, where are you?" he shouts into a street that will not answer. A small blur of cream and brown is already 3 streets away and still going. "Where is he? Please answer," he shouts, and strangers step aside for him. "Is he in here?" he yells, throwing himself into a pile of junk. He crawls under a shop front and finds 2 mice eating a piece of cheese. "Or maybe here," he says, tearing the lid off a bin and going in head first. How does he even find him? What if something has already happened to him? What if he gets hit by a car? What if bad people find him first? He promised to protect him last night. It has not even been a day. Then he stops beside a fence and hears something he has never heard before. "Is that a school?" he says with both hands on the wire fence. And there, sitting on the dirt path ahead of him, is a small brown shape. "Twig him!" he shouts, and the small brown shape on the path lifts its head. Did he follow Hyeji's scent the whole way across the city to here? A man holding a stick turns around on the path to look at him. "Wait," the man says, and he has already gone past him down the street. "That is what Mr. Lee was talking about," someone says. "Why is he so fast?" He vaults the gap between 2 buildings without breaking his stride once. Gangnam High School. Boys are chasing a ball across a bright green field. Girls walking the corridor, boys on the stairs staring into phones, someone sprinting the track. Everyone is having fun together, he thinks, leaning on a tree. So this is a school. Then a phrase floats over from the stairs and stops his hand halfway to his face. So heart mutants really started in some lab. No, that is just a rumor, the truth is. Report an unregistered wanted mutant, one of them says, and the reward is 1,000,000,000. If they catch one, they hit the jackpot. So this is how the outside world sees people like him. He needs to be careful here. Find Twig him and then get out of this place. "Found him," he breathes, and his whole body finally comes unlocked at once. 3 girls are filming a dance routine in front of a painted wall. "Minjung is insane," one of them says, scrolling. Her looks are honestly intimidating. "Whatever," Minjung says, smiling down at her own screen. They are pretty too. Then something very small trots into the frame behind them. A puppy. They melt instantly. Where did he come from and who exactly is his mommy? "Take a picture of the baby for the story," one says. "Get closer so the dog shows up." And in the corner of the shot, there is a boy standing perfectly still, watching them. "Who the hell is this guy?" one screams. "A stalker? Is he filming them?" "Total pervert," another one shouts. "Sorry," he says immediately, backing up. "Sorry." He did not mean to startle them. It is only that they have Twig him. Then Minjung actually looks at him, and the tone of the conversation changes. Judging by the gym clothes, he must be a first year. Nobody has seen him before. "A transfer? Is he being filmed on that phone?" he asks. "It is for TikTok. Does he want to film with them?" "He cannot be in videos," he says, and they laugh at how seriously he says it. Minjung holds out her phone with the app already open. "Give her his account." "She will tag him in the video," she says, as if that settles it. Her friends just stare at her. Minjung has never asked anybody for an account before. "Hurry up," she says. "She has over 100,000 followers." "Insta," he repeats blankly. He is easy on the eyes, one of them murmurs. The shy thing is cute, too. He does not have anything like that, he says, and she assumes he is playing games. Huh? Minjung says, and the smile on her face stiffens by a degree. He appreciates the thought, but he has to decline, and he bows to her while saying it. No way, one of the other girls whispers. Did Minjung seriously just get rejected? That is one enormous wall he just put up, and her smile does not reach her eyes anymore. She is just trying to tag him. He tells her the dog is his and takes him back. Twig him, he says quietly. He is sorry, he will never lose him again. Across the yard, someone with red hair has been watching the whole thing. 4 girls turn at once to look at whoever is standing across the yard. Hey, Taegu, one of the boys says, pointing. Isn't that your crush over there? That guy is using a dog to get to Minjung. Who is he anyway? He is making a move on her right there in front of him, Taegu says. Toss him the ball, Taegu says. One of them hesitates. Why the ball? Because he broke somebody's nose with a ball the last time he did this. That was... One of them starts and does not get to finish the sentence. Not his problem, Taegu says, and puts his whole body into the kick. Gio looks up from the path with the puppy still tucked against his chest. The ball takes him full in the face at the speed of a thrown brick. The puppy lies safe against his chest, tail wagging, both eyes squeezed shut. A girl screams and scrambles backward across the grass away from the impact. Is he okay? Somebody asks, and nobody at all moves to find out. Blood hits the tile between his shoes, drop after drop. Is he all right? Sorry, Taegu calls with both hands up. The ball slipped out of his hand. My bad, total accident, he calls over. Hey, does it actually hurt or not? Watch it, Gio says, and the whole yard goes noticeably quieter. His dog almost got hurt just now, he says. He wants an apology for that. Taegu doubles over laughing and points straight at him. Double nosebleed. Minjung is watching all of this, one of his friends hisses at him. He got him right in the face. Shouldn't he go to the nurse? He is fine, Gio says, but Twig him almost got hurt. Be careful next time. He walks away with the puppy. He is tougher than he looks, somebody says. Taegu tells him to shut up. Find out who that bastard is and what class he is in. He does not like his attitude. He was so scared he would lose Twig'em that he could not think straight. But thanks to him, he got to see a school and met a lot of people his own age. It was fun. If he went there, would he have made many friends? Hey! Somebody calls behind him, in a voice that is trying to sound friendly. He is really sorry about earlier, the red-haired boy says, smiling very widely. Friend? Gio says. They are in the same grade, so they are friends, right? Since he got hit, apologizing with words felt cheap. So he will buy him bread. Bread, Gio says, and the entire world around him turns into floating pastries. He is buying him bread? Really? Yeah, dude, there is a great place over there. Is there anything Twig'em can eat too? Of course, he will buy everything. He was showing off in front of the girls, Taegu says, arm around him. He must be starving. They walk him past the last streetlight on the road and around a blind corner. A boot drives him down a full flight of concrete stairs into the dark. He catches himself on his hands, the puppy still tucked under one arm. He actually followed them the whole way, Taegu laughs. Is he slow in the head? Anyway, he says, looking down at him. He will feed him until he is full. What a pathetic loser, one of them says, and the others laugh on cue. Who does he think he is, walking around acting all big like that? Acting big about what? Gio asks. Why is he hitting on Minjung? Taegu screams. He is the type who would cry on the floor after one punch. Should he wreck him for real? He looks so weak a low kick would snap his leg. One of them laughs an hour before the ambulances arrive. He thought he was called out to be friends. He was called out to be beaten. Sorry, Gio says quietly. If he is making them uncomfortable, he will just leave. Where does he think he is going? He played it so natural, they almost let him walk. Move! Gio says without any heat in it. Fries is getting scared of them. Guess the mutt takes after the owner, one sneers and grabs a fistful of shirt. The next second, that boy is airborne with blood coming off his face. Why is Ji-yoon lying on the ground all the way over there, somebody asks. What was that? He only swung his arm once and Ji-yoon went flying. What the hell did he just do? 3 of them scream at once. Did he send Ji-yoon flying, they demand, closing in on him from 3 sides. His eyes go flat and cold, and the friendliness drains out of his face. And deep inside his chest, something red pulses once and then again. A body leaves the ground and keeps going right on past the wall. Then another one, and the alley turns into a mess of flying limbs. A hand closes around a throat and squeezes until the kicking finally stops. He crosses the whole width of the yard before any of them can turn. Taegu's head hits the brick hard enough to open a crack in it. He told him to stop, Gio says. Fries is scared of all this. You freak, someone screams, backing off down the street. You absolute monster. He seriously cracked the wall, Taegu whispers, staring up at the split brick. He is finished. One hit from this guy and something breaks. Did he pick the wrong person? He is sorry, Taegu babbles, forehead on the concrete. He will never do it again. And they were the ones who tried to hit the dog. He has a dog at home, too. His name is Bibo B. He actually does have a dog. Maybe he is not completely awful. Just let him off this once. Taegu stays down on his knees while the other boy just stands there holding the puppy. Using strength made him hungry, Gio realizes. Come to think of it, he has not eaten today. He is suddenly hungry, Taegu repeats to himself, now of all possible times. This bastard. He is pretending to forgive him while hinting that he wants food. Thanks, Gio says and starts eating at once. Yeah, Taegu mutters, enjoy it. He folds himself over the table while Taegu watches from a safe distance. It is good, right? There are little strawberry bits in the bread, Gio reports, feeding Twigim. What is this guy? He seems insanely strong, but he acts like a total dork. He sent a fully grown boy flying through the air with a single punch. Even a professional could not slam someone into a wall hard enough to crack it. Brother Young Chul, Taegu says into his phone, voice suddenly polite. Have you been well? Na Young Chul, 20, sits behind a mountain of poker chips with a cigarette in his teeth. Could he help him out just this once? He is really in trouble. He got beaten by some punk and came crawling. Does he look that free? It is his first and last request. Please just let him save face this once. How good can the kid be? One of the men laughs. He is bored anyway. Tell him he will swing by. Fine. He has business near the school today, so bring him out then. He is dead now. Taegu grins into the phone and hangs up smiling. Then a hand pushes an entire pastry across the table toward him. He felt bad about eating on his own, Gio says, pushing the tray closer. No, Taegu says quickly. He can have it all. The drinks too, all his. How is somebody like this that strong? Taegu thinks, watching him chew. Wait, when he punched the wall earlier, he definitely hurt his hand. Why is it fine now? Insane strength that can launch grown people, and wounds that close by themselves. Depending on the shape of the heart, they can use different abilities. Less than 1 in 100,000. Are you a heart mutant? Taegu blurts, and Gio chokes on his drink. He is not, he coughs far too loudly. It is obvious now, Taegu thinks. A heart mutant. He has never actually seen one. He looks almost exactly like a normal person. But hold on a second. If he really is one of them, is this not dangerous? What if the guys he called get beaten too? A heart mutant, Young Chul says, and the table jumps. The guy sitting right there next to him is a heart mutant? Yes, Taegu says. Maybe since he is dangerous, they should forget about roughing him up. No, Young Chul says. That is even better. Make sure he cannot go anywhere. Understood, Taegu says, and Gio stands up and announces he is done eating. Already, Taegu says, standing up too fast. There is still lunch break left. Yeah, Gio says, gathering the puppy up. He needs to head home now. He is supposed to keep him here until they arrive, in that case. Why don't they skip class and go hang out somewhere? Skip class, Gio repeats, neon on every surface. What is this place, he says. First time at an arcade. He did not even know that places like this existed in the world. Everything in here is completely new, he says, turning in a slow circle. That is the same character keychain Hayeji keeps hanging on her school bag. First time seeing a claw machine too, Taegu says, half laughing at him. Taegu feeds in a coin and tells him to try. Him? He just does this, right? He moves the claw. The claw is moving, he announces to the room. A small purple thing comes up out of the pile, dangling in the metal jaws. Now he has the same doll that Heiji keeps hanging on her bag. This is fun, he says. Perfect, Taegu thinks, no problem stalling him now. Then he has never been to a coin karaoke either? A coin karaoke? You sing in these little rooms. Tell him a song and he will punch it in. He does not know any songs. Just sing anything, Taegu says. It is only guys here. He sings a nursery rhyme about holding his mother's hand and eating cotton candy. Who sings a kiddie song at karaoke, Taegu howls. How long is he keeping the pure boy act up? Is he not supposed to sing this? It is the only song he knows. His mother taught it to him before he was separated from his family at 7. After that, he could not live a normal life. Separated at 7, Taegu repeats, and the smile goes out of his face. What is this guy? Taegu thinks, and cannot answer his own question at all. Damn it, he mutters, and turns away so nobody can see his face. So he could not live a normal life. Then he has to live an extraordinary one. Come on, Taegu says, pulling him up. He will show him a whole new world. The two of them hammer a drum machine until the whole room shakes. No cheating, Tegu screams. Is this not how you play? That is not how you play, idiot. Tegu stands over him laughing while Gio sprawls flat on the glowing floor. Is he actually hopeless at this? It is hard, Gio admits, still grinning. Outside the arcade, the sky above them is a stupid, unbothered blue. He is exhausted from playing, Tegu pants with a hand on his chest. Arcades are really fun. He has never been anywhere this fun in his entire life. Then Tegu's phone starts buzzing hard against the table between the two of them. Who is even calling at a time like this, he says, reaching for it. Answer your damn phone when it rings, Young Chul roars out of the speaker. He was supposed to keep this guy here so he could be beaten. He forgot because he was having fun. He even got excited and took photo booth pictures with him. He's actually an idiot. The strip shows two boys grinning, one of them pale and holding a puppy. Tegu looks down at the photo strip in his hand for a long, silent moment. Ahead of them, Gio has crouched to play with the dog on the pavement. What? Says a voice from the mouth of the alley, and men step out of the light. He is sorry, Tegu says, bowing low. It turns out he is not actually a heart mutant. Is he screwing with them right now? He is sorry, he says. He is really sorry. All three of those things, he thinks. And the one who has to pay for them is not that boy. And that puppy, he realizes, is the only family that boy has left. That is so damn sad. His own Bibo BBI is 17, and he does not know how long is left. When his friends tried to mess with his dog, he nearly killed them himself. If this guy dies or disappears, he thinks, what happens to the puppy? The first punch takes Tegu clean off his feet and into the wall. He lands on the concrete shaking and does not manage to get up. A hand twists into his hair and pulls his head all the way back. Does he look like he is joking? Young Chul says. Where is the mutant? Is he hard of hearing? Young Chul says, standing directly over the top of him. Does he not see everyone gathered here just to catch that one bastard? Wait, sir, it is a misunderstanding. He was with that guy all day today. He was just an average loser. 2 rounds at the arcade and he collapsed out of breath. He is a pathetic nerd. Sorry they came all this way for nothing. So he is saying there is no mutant. Yes, sir. That is right. Tegu, he says, almost gently. Is he upset that he yelled and hit him? With him, he says, it is written all over his face whenever he lies. Let's hear the reason then. Why exactly did he suddenly change his story? He told him that thing is not human. They have to do this much so everyone walks away fine. Don't tell him he was worried about them. Does he think they would lose? No, Tegu says, and his voice cracks in the middle of it. He really... 500, Young Chul says, and holds up an open hand between the two of them. Turn him over to the broker and Tegu gets 500. Neat and clean, no loose ends. This is human trafficking, Tegu thinks, staring at that open hand. Isn't it? Kidnappings targeting heart mutants have been happening. Rumors say facilities buy them for money. He thought it was nonsense gossip. He never imagined seeing it done by his own big brother. Sir, he says, laughing weakly, he is really nothing special, please just believe. A boot catches him across the jaw and folds him into the wall. Die! Someone screams, and the whole alley fills up with running feet. He cannot breathe, and there is blood filling the gaps in his teeth. He has been letting this slide, but Tegu is really starting to annoy him now. What are they all waiting for? Beat him until he decides to talk. Blows land on him where he lies, one after another, without any hurry. He curls up around himself on the cold concrete and takes every single one. Stop, he says from the ground. Hit him, the crowd chants. He said stop, someone mocks, hauling him up off the ground by the collar. Who told first years they could bully their own friend? One of the men laughs. Got a death wish? The other boys scatter down the alley, shouting apologies back over their shoulders. Hey, Joe Tegu, Young Chul says. Yes, he answers, with both hands over his ears. He is his Hyung. If he is from their gym, he should not be walking around getting beaten. Back then, this man had seemed loyal, and good in a fight, and cool. He wanted to be like them. This brat is not saying anything. He has watched him for years. Tegu, he says gently, crouching down beside him. He has loyalty. That is badass. But sell a mutant to a broker alone, and he gets 200 or 300 at most. When his own body is on the line, loyalty stops meaning anything at all. Bring the chains, he says. He told them he wanted to live cool, didn't he? A long length of iron chain drags slowly across the concrete toward him. To live big, the man says, and lets the chain swing loose from his fist. Making real money and not being ashamed of it. That is the coolest life there is. Sir? Tegu says from the ground with his cheek in the dirt. Sorry, but... Right now, Tegu says into the dirt, he looks really uncool doing all this. And then his own words catch up to him about half a second too late. That's so, Young Chul says very quietly. Taegu, you little piece of trash. Sir, he screams with both arms thrown up over his head. He misspoke. Just die, the man says, and the whole length of chain comes up. The chain winds twice around a wrist and then pulls itself tight. The chain is about as thick as a finger, a voice says, and it has weld marks and rough edges. Beat somebody with this, he says, and the wounds last a very long time. What is with this kid, one of them says. How exactly does he... He came to find him, Gio says from the mouth of the alley. He was taking too long. Run, Taegu chokes out from the ground. He knows exactly what these men are. He is the one who called them. He called them to rough him up. And he even told them he was a heart mutant. Why? Gio asks him. Young Chul watches the two of them with something that looks a lot like appetite. Because he was so angry that he got hit. He is sorry. No, Gio says. He is asking why he is letting all of them hit him with that thing. Something changes in Young Chul's face, and it is not any kind of improvement. A bat comes down across the back of Gio's skull with a wet sound. The men close in around him in a ring, their weapons already up. His teeth clench down hard, and he does not go to the ground. 3 of them beat him down onto his knees and then simply keep going. The puppy snarls at them from the pavement. No, Taegu says. No, don't! So he is the heart mutant. He had the nerve to walk right into. A hand presses flat against the concrete with the blood spreading out beneath it, and the man holding the bat stops in the middle of his own swing. Gio comes up off the floor screaming with both arms flung out wide. The fight climbs the alley stairs, leaving blood behind on every single step. A man goes down under his own weapon and does not get back up. 2 of them try to hold him still by the arms and fail. He stands on the landing with the sun behind him and his head lowered. Kill him! Young Chul screams down from the top of the stairs. Kill him now! Beat him to death, he screams, and the entire alley obeys him at once. The whole crowd rushes him all at once with everything they brought along. Bats swing and connect, and none of it slows him down at all. 3 men come off the stairs in 3 completely different directions at once. He drives a kick through the very last pair of legs still standing. Young Chul stares at him with his hair coming loose out of its knot. A masked man swings a pipe at him with everything he has left. It lands hard, and the blood sprays out across the wooden landing. The next swing is a hammer, and Gio catches it in his bare hand. How is he that strong, someone says. Is he even human at all? A gloved hand grabs Gio by the collar and hauls him back upright. Just stab him, Young Chul screams and pulls a knife out of his coat. He is human too, he says. Get stabbed and you die all the same. How's that? He snarls, driving it in deeper. It hurts like hell, right? Gio coughs blood down the whole front of his own torn shirt. The blade goes in again and again, and nothing at all about him changes. Then the man's smile slips as he looks at his own bleeding hand. Stop stabbing him, Gio says, and every man in the alley hears it. He takes hold of the blade by the edge and does not let go. What the hell is he? What kind of heart lets a person get stabbed and stay standing? Him, Gio says, and tilts his head as if the question amuses him. He does not need to know, Gio says, and takes the knife away from him. Told them they should not have messed with a heart mutant, one screams. He is out. A body hits the side of a building hard enough to crack it. The last of them freezes exactly where he happens to be standing. Now that every one of them knows exactly what it is he is. None of them get to run, he says, and starts walking. Only one man in that alley will still be standing. The puppy barks once from the pavement, and the sound carries down the street. A throat closes under his hand, and the man stops making any noise. He ends up standing over 2 men in a narrow street full of shop signs. Gio, Taegu says from the ground, barely getting the name out of his mouth. Is he okay? He got stabbed. He will call an ambulance right now, just hold on. It is fine, Gio says, hand on his chest. His wound, Taegu says. There is nothing there, only skin and the shirt torn open over it. The 2 of them look at each other in the dark and neither speaks. He is sorry, Gio says, to an entire street full of unconscious men. A fist closes at his side, slow and deliberate, and it stays closed. You idiot, Joe Taegu, a voice roars at him. He should have died instead. He even tried to sell his own friend, the voice screams at him. He sold him out, Taegu says. He used to hang around those men all the time. Whenever he was with them, everything seemed fine. He thought that was what cool looked like. Then something white is being held out in the air in front of his face. He has a nosebleed, Gio says, crouching down. Here, use this. He is giving him this to wipe the blood off with? Yeah, Gio says. Taegu turns the thing over in his hand, staring down at the white mesh. It is a puppy training pad. He wipes his face with it anyway. So it was not only him who thought of them as friends. That is enough. Taegu keeps wiping at his face and will not look up at him. His shoulders start to shake and the pad comes away completely soaked. G-O, he howls, and grabs hold of him hard enough to actually hurt. He is sorry, he says, into the shoulder of a boy who cannot be killed. Let him go, Young Chul says through a swollen mouth. He has learned his lesson. He will not tell a soul that he is a heart mutant. They have his word. Huh, says Taegu, in a tone that nobody standing in that alley likes. He should have apologized first, Taegu screams and kicks him in the ribs. This guy is a total scumbag, he tells Gio. He knew he was all talk the moment he saw him. Just die, Taegu howls. Didn't the two of them say they were friends? Gio asks. What should they do with these scumbags? Hand them to the police or beat them quiet first? Wait, Young Chul yelps, scrambling backward on the concrete. Wait a second. He will not say a single word, he swears, down on both knees. Then a siren chirps behind them. Excuse them, gentlemen, could they step over here? Seodam Police Substation. They received a report from a neighbor and need cooperation. The cops. 4 different voices say at exactly the same time, in 4 different tones. Officers, Taegu says brightly. They are just in time. He was about to call them himself. These men are into human trafficking. Go to their hideout, and there is plenty of evidence. They are over 20. They are real criminals. Lock all of them up. Wait! Young Chul screams as the entire situation slides out from under him. Help! He shouts, flat out on the pavement. Somebody out there help him, please. He thinks his bones are broken. That boy even stabbed him in the leg. Officers, thank God they came. That bastard beat them half to death. Look what he did. What kind of nonsense is that? Taegu roars at him. Who beat who exactly? They were the ones trying to kidnap Gio, who stands there without a single mark on him. Look at him. He does not have a scratch. They are the ones who got hurt. He is the proof, Young Chul insists, pointing at his own face. They took way more hits. Everyone calm down, the officer says. They will sort out the details at the station. More importantly, that guy standing over there, Young Chul says, and points at him. He is a heart mutant. Is a heart mutant allowed to beat people like this? Is he really a heart mutant? An officer asks. Show his ID card or registration number. He does not have anything like that on him, Gio says, very quietly. A heart mutant and unregistered with the state. He realizes that violates the Mutant Special Act. They will start by getting him registered. State his identity and his ability. Identity, he repeats. Registration. Those are the 2 worst words he knows. If the laboratory finds his information, what then? He finally stopped looking like a skeleton. The moment he registers, they track him down instantly. Sir, the officer says, cooperate. Then someone with a pink backpack comes sprinting up the street, shouting at them to wait. Hello, Hiji gasps out, doubled over with both hands on her knees. Who exactly is this girl? The 2 officers ask each other over her head. Can he take this call? She says, holding out a phone. It is her sister.
Hello, the officer says warily, taking the phone out of her hand.
This is Superintendent Song Hyun, team leader of the Mutant Special Team. He may verify her number. The officer's spine snaps straight in the middle of the street. Officer Han Sok-jin of the Seodam Police Substation. He barks into the phone. This case is an attempted kidnapping. The heart mutant is their witness. Release him without questioning. She takes full responsibility for it as team leader. He should report that upward. Officer Kim, Officer Lee, arrest these thugs and let all the others go. What is going on? Young Chul screams as they cuff him. Why are they only taking them? Who exactly was on that phone to get them locked up like this? Who the hell is that girl? And she waves at him from the curb. Hiji, what is happening? Gio asks. How did she know to come here? She saw him coming toward the school. Some creeps were surrounding him, so she followed. Creeps, Gio says. She means Taegu? Yeah, she says. Exactly. What happened to his face? She asks. He just got beaten half to death by thugs, Gio says. Taegu, meanwhile, has stopped breathing because that is Song Hyeji, the school goddess. Anyway, her sister handled those men. More importantly, is Gio hurt anywhere at all? He is fine, he says, while Taegu makes a sound like a dying animal. More importantly, Gio says, turning to the man in the car, who was he handing him over to? Was it the Hermes laboratory? He asks, leaning down into the car. The laboratory? He has never heard of it. They were just selling him to a broker working this area. There are brokers who specialize in trading heart mutants. That is who they usually sell to. Those brokers, Gio says slowly. He wants to meet one of them. Somewhere across the city, a man sits behind a desk with the wrong kind of patients. No way, Hiji says, with the milk carton stopped halfway to her mouth. That is far too dangerous. Does he have any idea how unhinged those brokers are? Her sister says they only hunt heart mutants. and a lot of the brokers are mutants themselves. In that case, he says, smiling slightly, he wants to meet them even more. Why is he so obsessed with tracking down a broker anyway? Taegu asks him. Well, he says, and touches his own cheek like he is embarrassed. Maybe he says he could find his friends through people like that. He said he did not have any friends, Taegu says. Yeah, Gio answers. Not out here. Back in the laboratory. They were the friends he lived with. Life in that lab was nothing but experiments and torture every single day. Then one day he was dragged somewhere unknown. He had never traveled that long before. He wondered what kind of agony they had planned this time. And the place they threw him into was swords, a whole room of them hanging in the air on nothing. Flying swords, crossing a room whose entire floor was made of shattered glass. They were going to use those to stab him over and over. He was terrified. The men behind him were frightening too. Get in there, they said. Now. 2 blades met in the air above him, and the light went completely white. A boy in the room was throwing his hands up, gold energy pouring off his palms, and a skeleton in a patient gown stood in the doorway, laughing in pure panic. A hand whipped a blade through the air toward the open door. A silver-haired boy raised his sword against the shape in the door. The blade came down at the thing that was standing in the open doorway. Then, a girl stepped in front of the blade with her arm out, and 4 strangers became the only family he had. What is he doing? She screamed. Isn't that thing a monster? No, you idiot. Look at the lab coat. He is a test subject, just like them. Wait, the skeleton said with his arms still over his head. What? He really is a skeleton, they whispered. Don't look at his hideous face, he begged. Nobody looked away from him, and nobody ran out of the room. He looks fine, one of them said. He only looks like that because he is a mutant. Scary, right? Is he okay? Is this his first time in the learning class? Lee Jun, Lee Chae-won, Yu Ha-na, and Shin Ha-yoon apologizing for the skeleton comment. What is his name? They asked. That was the first time he ever met friends. That place gathered test subject children from various labs and gave them a basic education. Every single one of them was a heart mutant. Maybe that is why they bonded so fast. Gio stops in the middle of a sentence with the bread still in his hand. What kind of life has he been living? Taegu shouts, gripping his own hair. Then where are all of them now? Hyeji asks him softly. His friends. On the day they escaped together, the lab was chasing them. They had to scatter. So that is why he wants the broker. Because they might have been hunted after the group split. She really hopes he finds them, and she will do everything she can. Taegu says he will help too. Good thing he stole Youngchul's phone, Taegu grins. The broker's number should be in here. The thread is short and businesslike. Be there by 7 once the target is secured. 7 o'clock, Gio says, looking at the screen. That is right now. Black cars sit parked outside a warehouse under a bruised violet sky. Grab your weapons, somebody screams inside the building. Stab him to death. Men rush a figure standing calmly in the middle of the floor. A blade, he says, watching the man come, swung the way he just swung it. It will not cut a thing, and the room turns red around him. A body slams into the concrete floor hard enough to skid across it. Knives will not work on this bastard, one screams, raising a gun. Kill him with a goo, the man shouts, and the word never finishes. He does not get to finish the word or anything else after it. Used properly, the silver-haired boy says, it cuts through steel. Lee Chae-won, a burning heart ringed all the way around with blades. The heart of the sword. He walks out through a warehouse full of the men who called him in. The last one runs for the shutter and does not get anywhere near it. A body leaves the floor and does not come back down the way it went up. Try to do better next time, he says, sitting in the blood. Who is texting him now, he says, wiping the screen on his sleeve. 2 new messages waiting. Somebody wants to sell one of them right away. He will send the location. Come find him. Looks like a new customer. They said it was this alleyway, Gio mutters, peering around an iron door. It is incredibly gloomy in here, even with the sun still up outside. This is supposed to be the meeting spot. He has to be careful here. A broker who traffics heart variants, and they said the broker might be one too. G.O., Hyeji had said, gripping his sleeve. Is he really going to meet a broker? These are people who commit crimes against heart variants, and some of them are variants themselves. Doesn't that mean they have met a lot of others? He might learn something about his friends. But still, she had said. Don't worry, he told her. Today he will only watch from a distance. He told Hyeji exactly that, and now he is sitting against a broken wall. These people have been selling out mutants like him. If the chance comes, he will take them himself. If it turns into a fight, should he find a weapon and set an ambush? Against a variant with powers, charging in blind is worthless. The ability is the whole fight. Then 2 blades are hanging in the air in front of his face. He goes down screaming, with a power pole splitting apart behind him. A sword, he says, staring at the steel hanging over his face. What kind of little rat is he? It is obvious when someone scans an alley like that. Is he a cop? The figure asks, walking closer with a blade held low. He holds up the phone with the thread still open. The broker, he says. They use a sword. Are they an ordinary person and not a variant? If they are ordinary, this gets much easier. He plants a hand on the ground. His fingers dig into the concrete until the surface starts to give. He launches himself off the ground like something fired out of a barrel. He will not even give them the time it takes to react. And then the face under the hood turns slowly around toward him. Nice to meet you, the stranger says. He is Lee Chae-won. Lee Chae-won, Gio repeats. How does he know his name? Chae-won asks and puts a blade through him. Chae-won comes up off the ground with the sword already moving through the air. He throws himself sideways over the swing and feels it pass under him. He hits the dirt hard and cannot make his own arm obey him. Every tendon cut in a single instant by a blade impossibly sharp, and sword skills that make no sense for any human being to have. This way, a voice screams somewhere back in his memory. Hurry up! Run! Children in white are sprinting down a corridor that is coming apart. A skeleton drags itself out of a split wall, laughing in terror. He fights his way down that hallway with debris flying off his shoulders. He lands hard on the cracked tiles, grinning straight through the fear. He will open the path, a silver-haired boy says, stepping to the front. How does he know his name? Chae-won says again, blade lowered at him. It is definitely him. He gets up, both arms hanging useless, and he gets up anyway. He is standing even after every tendon was severed. Is he a heart variant? Chae-won, he shouts up at him. It is him, Kim Ji-oh, the skeleton. What? Chae-won says, and the blade above him stops moving. Skeleton? Wait, if he really is Kim Ji-oh, then he is from the lab. He was alive, Ji-oh says, smiling for the first time in the whole fight. He is really Kim Ji-oh, Chae-won says. Yeah, he answers him. Yeah, the Kim Ji-oh who took classes with him. Somehow he is completely regenerated. Chae-won, he says, running at him, and both of those hands come up. He barely gets clear of whatever comes next, and it takes the wall. He lands with his guard up and no idea what he did wrong. He thought Chae-won recognized him just now. Why is this still happening? Seeing his wounds close over like that, Chae-won says, he really is Kim Ji-oh. Exactly, he says, holding up the hand that is still healing. Look at this. Chae-won drops low to the ground and drives the sword straight at him. He backpedals across the broken lot with his hands up and open. What the hell? He says, with the blood spreading out across his chest. Why is he being attacked? He shouts by somebody who knows his name. That, Chae-won says, is something he should know better than anyone. He leaps and Chae-won ducks under him without even bothering to look up. He is far too fast and the gap is not closing at all. He keeps trying to dodge and keeps getting cut. At this rate, he only wastes blood. He has to pin him down first, before there is nothing left to pin. His fist meets the flat of the blade and stops dead against it. Does he think a punch works on someone holding a sword? He knows exactly how good Chae-won is. He grabbed the blade and held on while his arm rebuilt itself around it. The eyes above him narrow and the pressure on the sword changes. What kind of grip strength is this, Chae-won says, and pulls harder. His heel comes down, and the ground opens up between the two of them. The blast rolls out through the empty warehouse and rattles the roof. He used to be a frail weakling. He has become useful now that he has flesh on him. If he can fight like this, why did he run away back then? He ran away, Ji-oh repeats, and the words do not fit anything he remembers. Yes, he says. That day, when all of them were escaping the lab together, guards were cutting down children in white in a corridor full of noise. Kim Ji-oh, someone shouted from the rubble. They are short on iron. Get that steel pipe. In that moment, when all of them were surrounded and dying together, he ran off by himself, Chae-won says, and leaves the words sitting there. That, he says, and cannot get the rest of the sentence out. He had no choice. If he had stayed, all of them would have died. Chae-won will never accept that answer. Coward, Chae-won says, and the word lands harder than the sword did. A hand closes around a wooden post against the burning orange sunset. He already knows everything there is to know about that regeneration. A steel chair goes over and skids away across the wooden boards. In pieces, it takes him quite a while to recover. What? He says. Blades fill the air around him from every direction at once. He has to block with both arms just to buy himself a little time. He catches a bloodied sword out of the air by the blade itself. The real one is over here, Chae-won says from somewhere above him. Light rips through the scaffolding and takes half the frame with it. What on earth was that? Somebody screams from 3 streets away. Wasn't that where Gio went, Hyeji says. Call an ambulance. No, they should go there first. Kim G.O., he says, standing there in the middle of all the wreckage. His regeneration is incomparably faster than before, to be unfazed after taking that. He has misunderstood something here, Gio says. He never ran away at all. That day he fought to the end to protect all of them. He came here today to save them. So there really was a misunderstanding, Chaewon repeats very slowly. Voices are gathering at the edge of the lot. Is someone in there? Is that a mutant? People, he says, and the fight goes out of both of them at once. 2 hands push up out of the rubble and find the edge of a slab. He has caused too much of a scene. If Gio wants to talk, come to his hideout. A lot has happened in the meantime. They will have plenty to discuss. He watches him go with the sweat still running down his face. Chaewon's personality seems to have changed a great deal in 3 years. He used to be a much brighter, more cheerful kid, and now his hideout is a broker's den. A blade drives into something purple in a burst of red. His mouth falls open and stays that way for several seconds. Carrot slices, onion, and bacon hang suspended in the air above the counter. Someone in a red apron is dicing onions and the pieces float straight up off the board. What the hell is going on in here, he says, to nobody in particular. 3 sandwiches assemble themselves at once in the air above the counter. A finished burger rises into the light, every layer perfectly stacked. What exactly happened to Chaewon in the years since they scattered? Please enjoy their new burgers, the staff say brightly, and G.O. cannot form a sentence. Come try their new burgers, the manager calls, holding up a tray. Customers crowd the counter, telling him how good-looking he is, and he thanks them cheerfully. This is Chaewon's hideout, Gio thinks, standing in the doorway. What is going on? This is where he works, Chaewon says, dropping into a chair in a red apron. Work? He has a job? And Gio does not. So he is unemployed. Anyway, Chaewon says, who exactly are those 2 sitting behind him? A pair of eyes watch them from the next table. This is Hyeji, who really helped him out, and Taegu, whom he met by chance. A friend, Chaewon says. Must be nice. Unemployed and still making friends. Gio has had it rough, Hyeji protests, while Taegu offers to strangle somebody. Relax, Gio laughs. Chaewon is a good guy. If anything happens, just shout, Taegu mutters. All right, say it again. He claims he did not run away that day. Back then, Gio says there was a bomb, right where they were trying to get out. Guards were closing in on children already pinned under the rubble. And he heard it clearly, the ticking of a timer. They tested explosives on him so many times. He knows that sound and that hiss perfectly. The lab surrounded them and planned to drop the building on all of them. The strongest might have survived it. He knew the weak ones would not. So he grabbed as much of the explosive as he could carry, and he ran. And then the light took him, and the corridor stopped existing. He does not know if the blast threw him. He woke up in the middle of deep woods. He went straight back and nobody was there, so he believed they had all escaped. A bomb, Chaewon says. He definitely heard an explosion in the distance that day. He really carried it away himself? Yeah, he can survive an explosion. And Chaewon expects him to believe that, he says, dragging both hands down his face. He knows how it sounds, but it is the truth. There was no time. I believe you, Chaewon says. Huh, Gio says, halfway through reaching for his drink. A blade comes up between them, faster than the eye can follow. His whole face goes white, and the drink stops halfway to his mouth. Carrots, onion, and bacon lift off the board behind them. A hand slams down on the counter and the vegetables go everywhere. He knew it would end like this. Chaewon sighs and sets down a loaded tray. What does this mean, Gio asks. Is all of it for him? He heard he had a rough time. A gift. Thanks, Gio says with his mouth full, while 2 customers ask the manager for a photo. Sure, no problem. And he poses for them without breaking stride. He is sorry, Kim Gio, he says, sitting back down. He almost cut him down without listening. It did not even hurt much, Gio says. This is really good. Does he eat like this every day? Taegu is openly jealous. If it is not enough, Chaewon says, he should go ahead and have more. He is the store manager after all, and he taps the badge to prove it. That is so cool. He looks like a completely normal person. Nothing to it. Gio could be normal too. Want a job here? Seriously? He will use his authority to pay 151 above minimum wage. Then Gio's hand goes up, the way it used to in that classroom. Now that he thinks about it. They met where the broker meeting was set. Why was he working as one? Those people kept them in that lab and did unspeakable things. How could he work for them? If he is really a broker, it is an act, Chaewon says. Pretended to be a broker, Gio repeats, sitting back in his chair. In his spare time, he plays broker to lure out the people who kidnap mutants. He is doing it to wipe those animals off the map. Really, Gio says. Of course, Chaewon answers without blinking. What a relief, Gio breathes. He was scared he had actually become one. So he works here and goes undercover as a broker. Well, somebody has to. That is amazing, Gio says, and gives him a thumbs up. He is really giving it his all. I know, Chaewon says. You idiot. Glad to hear it. If he ever needs help, just say the word, huh? He came to find out how their friends are doing, so if help is needed, tell him. Something moves behind Chaewon's eyes, and then it is gone again. You bet, he says, and the table jumps under his hand. He actually needs to take down a certain broker. With Gio's power, it would be easy. Corner them, and they might learn where the others are. Deal, Gio says. He would be a huge help, Kim Gio, and he holds out a fist. 2 sets of knuckles meet over a table covered in wrappers. The shop is swamped, so he has to get back. He will call with the plan later. Thanks for waiting, Gio says outside. Thanks to them, he finally talked to an old friend. Is that guy really his friend, Taegu says. 3 years is a long time. She was scared when he said his friend was a human trafficker. Is everything okay? Yeah, he says and smiles out at the street ahead of them. He has not changed a bit since they were kids. He said he would message. How? He does not even have a phone. Not true, he says. Wait, is that Na Youngchol's phone? Has he been using that this whole time? Somewhere else, feet hammer wet pavement. Don't let him escape. Corner the bastard in the alley, one of them shouts up ahead. Stop chasing him already, the running man sobs out of breath. A hand throws something golden across the ground behind him. Oil, one of them screams, going down hard. That is the scumbag's ability. He is alive, someone says, and hauls him up by the hair. A fist ends the chase in the middle of the wet street. Where does he think he is going, the man says, taking his hair. Somebody is already on his way here. Please, the man begs. His heart is nothing special. All it does is make oil. This pathetic loser is a heart mutant, one of them says, laughing. Not all mutants are strong. Trash like him is no better than a regular human. Easy money either way. They are paying a whole billion for one head. Is that all they are offering? Says a voice none of them recognize. Who the hell are you? One of them says and gets no answer. How did he get in? One starts and does not finish. If they are risking their lives like this, Chaewon says, they should be paid more. This freak is a mutant, someone screams. About 10 of them, he counts. Better finish this quickly, Chaewon says and steps into them. The first 2 go down before their weapons clear their coats. He moves through the rest of them without ever changing pace. Pull out your guns, the last one standing roars at the others. You know what? Chaewon says and lifts one hand toward them. Their guns happen to be made of metal too. The barrels twist inward and open outward like flowers. A trigger clicks on nothing at all twice, then a third time. What the hell? The man screams, with both hands already rising. He does not get an answer, and he does not get anything else. A blade falls, and the warehouse finally goes quiet. A black point punches out through a chest, and the wall behind goes red. The last of them folds where he stands and does not move again. Next time, Chaewon says to the man on the floor, collapse somewhere without all this rebar. Thank you, the oil mutant sobs. Thank you for saving him. He is a heart mutant too, the man laughs, exactly like him. He thought he was dead when those thugs came. Shut up, Chaewon says. Yes, boss, Chaewon says into the phone. He has recovered the stolen mutant. He can be sent straight to the lab. The lab, the man on the floor says. What does he mean, the man on the floor says. Smile, still half on. He is too loud. He is the broker who is selling him. Classic Lee Chaewon, the voice on the phone purrs, somewhere above a floor full of bodies. He is on a completely different level from those useless lab rats. He works efficiently. Also, Chaewon says, there is something else he needs to report. He found Kim Gio, he says, and lets the silence do the rest. Kim Gio, the voice repeats, and something wet drips off a blade. They promised any reward if he caught him. Is the deal still on? Of course, the voice says, warm as anything. Of course it is. So after 3 years of running, Kim Gio, whose fist exactly did you just shake? 2 blades come out through the front of his chest, and the blood goes everywhere at once. Thanks for coming, says the friend he crossed the whole city to save, Kim Gio. He really is a broker, he says, standing over him in a factory made entirely of iron. And he came here tonight to send Kim Gio back to the laboratory he escaped from. But the trap took a full day to build, and it started in a very quiet kitchen. They promised that if he captured Kim Gio, he would get the reward he asked for. Of course, the voice on the phone says, warm and pleased. Of course that still stands. Then he will hand him over tomorrow, Chaewon says, standing in a room full of bodies. The next morning, a knife comes down on a carrot over and over in a bright kitchen. Kim Gio, he thinks, stirring the pot. Getting him to come out will not be difficult at all. The problem is that he is far stronger than expected, and nothing like the skeleton he remembers. Ordinary methods will not work on him. He needs a place with a very large amount of iron. Curry, a girl in a wheelchair, cries out, delighted, as he sets the bowl in front of her. He made sure to put in plenty of potatoes because Chaeyoon likes those the most. She loves it, she says, holding her spoon in both hands. It is honestly the best. If there is anything else she wants to eat, she only has to say and he will cook it. Then they should eat together, she says, looking up at him from her chair. He does not think he can today, he tells her. There is somewhere he needs to go. Really? She says, and her face falls by a fraction. Again already? She should eat and save the leftovers. He will definitely come back and finish them. Night comes down over the apartment towers and every window in them is lit. G.O. had a hard time earlier today looking after Twigim, she thinks, peeling a tangerine. And after everything else that happened to him, he must be completely exhausted. For recovering from that kind of fatigue, meat and fruit should be good for him. So the plan becomes braised short ribs, packed full of tangerines and strawberries. An app told her those ingredients go beautifully together, so it should taste wonderful. Without it, she would never have dared to attempt oyster and strawberry braised ribs at all. Maybe she is actually talented at this. Maybe she should take up cooking properly. Her sister has been messaging her all evening, asking whether she has eaten yet. She will get home late tonight, maybe near dawn, so she is coming home today after all. Her sister replies, and Hyeji decides to save her a portion out of pure spite. Her sister will not be back until early morning, she tells him, so he can sleep early tonight. He is fine, he says, sitting on the floor. He is waiting in case his friend contacts him. Is he really that happy about meeting his friend today? She asks, watching his face. Yes, he says, holding the puppy against his chest. He missed him very badly. She has not known him long, she admits, but this is the most relaxed she has ever seen him. Chaewon, he says, is a precious friend to him, and then he starts telling her why. Hey, skeleton, a silver-haired boy said once in a room full of steel lockers. What are you doing alone? Nothing, he answered, curling up on the bed. He is just by himself, that is all. What happened to his arm? The boy shouted, recoiling. Stop looking at it, he begged. It is a wound from the experiment a few days ago, and it is not finished healing yet. He was feeling down over something that trivial? Let the boy see his arm, then. His arm, he said, confused. Why does anybody want to look at his arm? Ta-da, the boy said, and stepped back to admire his own work. The skeleton looked down and found a full-length blade growing where his hand used to be. What is this, he said, on his knees. How cool is this, the boy answered proudly. Lee Chae-won, a girl shouted from the lockers. You are bullying Gio again, aren't you? He upgraded him to look cooler, Chae-won protested. An arm that is also a sword. That is awesome, the skeleton whispered, holding it up into the light with both eye sockets wide. Huh, the girl said, and gave up on the entire conversation right there. You little punk, Chae-won laughed, so he understands what the word cool actually means. What is this? The skeleton asked later, staring at the fist held out toward him. When friends truly trust each other, Chae-won said, they bump their fists like this to prove it. That is so cool, the skeleton said, and pressed his bone knuckles against the other boys. Chae-won was a really cool friend. He wanted to be like him, so he followed him everywhere. I see, Yeji says faintly. He liked having a blade attached to his arm. Why exactly? Still, that is a relief, she thinks. He is this happy just from meeting a friend again. Anyway, she says, let's eat. He did not even help with anything, he protests. Tonight's menu is her fresh, sweet braised ribs, and his entire face changes when he sees it. It is her special version, she announces, holding the pan up like a trophy, with strawberries and honey mixed straight in. He has never seen anything like it in his life. He picks up his chopsticks and goes in without hesitating for even a second. How is it, she asks, leaning over him. Is it actually okay? This is unbelievably good, he says, with his mouth full of fruit and beef. The strawberries are delicious, the meat is delicious, and even the oysters taste amazing. It looks like Twigim wants some too. Should he give him a little of it? No, she says. She will cook something tasty for him separately later on. She is glad he is enjoying it. It is the best food he has ever eaten, he tells her. She will cook something delicious for him again next time, she says, sitting back. Okay, he says, still chewing, with sauce on his face. Thank you. Then the phone buzzes on the floor beside him, and the screen says broker. Hello, he says, and the voice on the other end screams at him for help. What happened, he says, standing up fast. He was chasing the laboratory people. The laboratory, Kiji repeats behind him. The place where he was kept for 10 years. Can he come and help right now? Of course, Gio says. He is already on his way. The address is the innermost building of the abandoned factory, and then the call ends. Chaewon seems to be in real danger, he says. He needs to go help him quickly. He stops in the doorway with his shoes half on and turns back around. The strawberry and tangerine ribs were really delicious, he tells her. He is sorry he could not finish them. She wants to come with him. No, he says. It is dangerous. He will be right back. He looks around a steel beam into an enormous, silent factory floor. Why is it so quiet in here? This is definitely the place Chaewon described. Wait, he thinks, and stops walking in the middle of the floor. He puts a hand flat against the rusted wall beside him and holds it there. Everything in this building is iron, from the walls down to the plates under his feet. Iron pipes, iron plates, bolts, even the floor he is standing on is iron. This is a space where Chaewon has every possible advantage, and he was taken down here? He needs to stay alert. He cannot afford to get caught here as well. Chaewon might be held somewhere in this building right now, shaking in fear. Two hands settle onto the metal floor somewhere behind him in the dark. A hand closes around two curved blades and lifts them off the plating. Then the air fills with steel, dozens of blades tearing across the factory at once. His eyes stretch wide as the first two of them find him in the dark. He throws himself forward through an entire storm of flying steel and keeps going. A sword, he thinks, going down hard on the metal. What the hell is this? What is he doing? Gio says. He said he had been captured. Exactly what he sees, Chaewon answers, without any change of expression at all, which means, Gio says, and cannot make himself say the rest of it. A figure drops out of the dark with a blade coming down, and the boy who calls him a friend does not raise his guard in time. Gio catches it on his forearm and the metal drinks his blood. He gets a sword up in time, and the impact drives him back across the floor. Blades come at him from above and from both sides at once. A boot catches him under the jaw and lifts him clean off the plating. He screams with blood pouring out of his mouth onto the iron. Chaewon closes the distance with the sword held low and perfectly level. Then he simply stands there in the middle of the racks, waiting for him to get up. He was really happy to see him today, Chaewon says, turning the blade over in his hand. He had only ever seen him as a skeleton for 7 years, so it felt strange at first. But as they laughed and talked without thinking, it reminded him of the old days. So he lied to him, he says, and walks toward him across the wet iron floor. He captures heart mutants and hands them over to the laboratory. That is his actual job. And he came here tonight, he says, to send Kim Gio back to that laboratory. That, Gio says, white to the lips. What exactly is he talking about? A hand comes down and splits the wooden crate beside him wide open. A blade flashes past in the dark, and he barely gets his head out of the way. He drops to one knee and swings the sword he took, and steel screams on steel. Chaewon's eyes widen as the block lands, and blood runs down between them. This is completely different from before, Gio thinks, driven back across the plating. Right now, this is not about subduing him at all, Gio realizes. It feels like he is genuinely trying to kill him. Lee Chaewon, you bastard! Is he really trying to capture him? He shouts, catching the next swing on his forearm. Snap out of it, he screams. He does not know what is going on here. But he should at least explain himself first, he says, with his chest laid open. No need, Chaewon says. He should simply surrender and make this easier. You bastard, Gio screams as the blade opens his face from jaw to eye. Is he insane, he shouts, sliding backward across the iron factory floor. He is still in contact with that laboratory? That place is a criminal organization. Wake up, he yells, hauling himself up on a length of iron pipe. A body drops out of the upper walkway with a blade leading the way down. Gio's eyes flare red and the whole world collapses into pure speed. Talking is not going to work, Chaewon thinks, and adjusts his grip. He drops from above with his arm outstretched and Gio throws himself clear. Running away will not help him either, Chaewon says, landing without a sound. Blades punch into the ground where his hands were half a second ago. This entire place is overflowing with iron, he says, walking after him. He will never escape from a building like this one, and the blade comes up again. He came completely prepared, Gio realizes. He really intends to hand him over. What is wrong with him, he screams. It does not matter if he goes back to that hell? It does not matter, Chaewon says and raises the sword over him. Fine, Gio snarls, closing his fist, if that is really how he feels about it. He comes off the floor with a spinning kick that takes out a support beam. It connects, and Chaewon's head snaps sideways with blood coming off his mouth. He screams once from the impact and does not go down from it. That much is not even damage to him, Gio thinks. As expected, after years of suffering, he has built up a resistance. His recovery works differently now. Even when he is cut, he heals instantly, and he counterattacks inside that same moment. In that case, Chaewon decides he cuts him faster than he can possibly answer. If he is busy regenerating, then he cannot swing back at all. The two of them tear into each other with blood coming off both. Today, a small skeleton once said, chained to a filthy floor. What experiment is it this time? A gloved hand tightened a metal cuff around a thin white wrist. Something heavy struck him across the ribs and he made a sound. Resurrection heart, a voice announced. 225th regeneration response experiment begins. It is starting again, he thought as the chains came off. Test subject deployed. A figure stood in the doorway with all the light behind him. Kim Ji-oh, the figure in the doorway, said and stopped dead where he stood. Lee Chae-won, the skeleton said back, and his eye sockets went wide. Today they will observe how the resurrection heart recovers when stimulated by the sword heart. Test subject 0824 will attack test subject 001 using his ability. What? Chae-won said. They want him to cut Kim Ji-oh down right now? Are they insane? Screw that, he shouted. He is not doing it. They dragged him here just for this. And then the metal collar fastened around his throat began to whine. Stop wasting time and just do it, the skeleton screamed at him. He is fine. You lunatic, Chae-won choked out, clawing at his own neck. How could he cut his friend? He told him it does not hurt him anyway, the skeleton shouted across the room. He will just die instead, Chae-won gasped, with blue current crawling over his throat. Hey, you weakling, the skeleton yelled. Stop acting tough and do what they say. Chae-won's whole face changed at that one single word. All he does is cut things with a sword anyway. Compared to abilities that freeze people alive, his is weak. What? He said from down on the floor. He is weak, is he? So stop wasting time and finish it. He will regenerate again soon enough anyway. He is weak, Chae-won repeated, and stood up with the current still on him. Good. The skeleton looked into that face and understood he had made a mistake. The first cut went straight through the chest, and the blood hit the ceiling. Did he push him too far? The skeleton thought in the middle of the air. Does it still not hurt? Chae-won screamed, cutting him again. How about this? It does not hurt at all. The skeleton laughed at him. How about now then? 225th regeneration response experiment complete, the voice announced. Chae-won stood over him afterward, soaked through, breathing like he had been drowning. It hurts, the skeleton whispered on the tiles. It hurts, it hurts. Then he stopped. It did not hurt nearly as much as it should have. Don't move, Chae-won said. Pretend he knows nothing. He is covered in his blood, so the researchers will not notice. What did he do? The skeleton said. Those wounds. Don't tell him he cut his own arm, too. Yeah, Chae-won said, standing over him. So shut up and do not get them caught. Why would he do that? He regenerates anyway. Idiot, he said. His recovery is slow as hell. Besides, that laboratory barely gives him enough blood to recover because they call him dangerous. And, he said, looking down at the skeleton lying on the tiles, do not try that self-sacrifice act again. It is embarrassing between friends. Why him, of all people? Ji-oh screams, taking a boot to the chest. He lands badly and comes straight back up with his face set. Chae-won swings again, and this time Ji-oh does not move at all. He stopped, Chae-won thinks, with his fist still raised over him. Could it be? Even after being cut apart like that, he still... This is, Chae-won thinks. Ji-oh's foot catches him full in the face, and this seriously hurts his pride. A hand hits the metal plating and slides sideways through the blood. He is not fighting, Ji-oh shouts, backing off. Get lost, both of them. Even after being cut this much, Chae-won says, he is still joking around. He should give up and let himself be captured. He is handing him over no matter what. Song Hye-ji, he says, lifting the sword up over his head. Jo Tae-gu. His friends? Should he go and capture the two of them first instead? The punch that answers takes Chae-won off his feet and into the concrete. Blood spreads out slowly across the dotted metal plating between the two of them. Ji-oh is on him before he can rise, hitting him again and again. Now he is finally looking at him properly. Those dogs must be precious to him. Finding ordinary high school students is easy, he says, driving a blade in, if he runs. Then they are the ones who bear the danger instead of him. Chae-won screams up at him through the blood, and neither of them knows yet that the lab is already listening. And something behind Ji-oh's face finally closes itself for good. Do not cross that line, he says, pinning him to the floor with red eyes. Hye-ji and Tae-gu are his friends, he says, and the fist comes back. He wanted to hear his side of the story right to the end because he is his friend. But something enormous and red opens up in the middle of his chest. He is not curious about his circumstances anymore. From now on, he is smashing him to pieces. This bastard Kim Ji-oh, Chae-won thinks. He cut his mouth and he is absorbing the blood. A hand clamps down over the wound, and red lines crawl away from it across the skin. Inside a vessel somewhere, cells turn and rush toward a single point of light. Gio throws him the length of the factory floor without any visible effort. He is on him before he lands, driving him into the metal wall by the throat. Wait, Chaewon thinks, eyes stretching wide. The arm that was cut off. A blade meets a fist in midair and only one of them gives out. Chaewon goes down on both knees on the rough concrete with a hand over his face. 3 of his ribs are broken. His body carries so much iron that most attacks do nothing. If he takes another hit like that, it will be fatal, and Gio is already coming down. He screams as the impact folds him completely around the incoming fist. He hits the metal plating with his chest open and his mouth locked in a shout. He is too fast, Chaewon thinks, sliding through a pile of scrap. He cannot even react to any of it anymore, and he knows it. A hand with white eyes behind it reaches down for his collar. A pipe swings and takes him across the chest, and blood follows the arc. Where the hell is that strength coming from, he says, sprawled across the floor. Did he really get this powerful just from absorbing a mouthful of his blood? He has to widen the distance somehow and take back control of the pace. He throws blades and Gio comes through them without slowing down at all. Is he predicting where they appear? No. He is watching them and dodging with his eyes. His reaction speed is this insane? Kim Gio's ability was supposed to be only regeneration. Strength, speed, reflexes, stamina, every one of them on a different level. At this rate, he loses. Damn it. He did not want to use this, absorbing iron particles right to the limit. Every blood vessel and organ in his body starts tearing itself apart from the inside. But in return, the sword heart in his chest reacts with everything it has. The recoil throws him backward through the air in a coat of black spines. And it releases hundreds of blades at once out of his own body. Kim Gio! He screams. No matter how much he regenerates, he cannot break through these. Gio draws back one fist and walks straight into all of them. So what, he says, and walks straight into every one of them. So what if he happens to have hundreds of them, he says. He crosses the entire distance between them in a single straight line. Chaewon screams as the blow lands and blood comes out of his mouth. This kind of thing, Gio says, does not hurt him at all. His flesh tearing apart, blades going into him. He can endure that much easily. The thing that actually hurts him is something else entirely and always was. He drives forward through the whole storm of blades with both fists closed. Chaewon goes out through a wall of glass and keeps on going. A hand catches him by the neck in the middle of all the falling glass. The blades tear at him and he does not stop for any of them. Being betrayed by his friend, he screams into the rain of steel. The punch lands square and Chaewon's whole head snaps back with it. That is the part of it that hurts the most, he says. The two of them spiral down together into a hole in the factory floor. More than his blades, a friend of 10 years trying to send him back to that laboratory. That hurts his heart far more, he says, standing over the body on the plating. Why did he do it? He asks the empty warehouse around them. He still does not understand it. What exactly did the laboratory promise him? That place is horrible, and Chaewon knows that better than anyone alive. Chaewon lies on the metal floor with the tears running sideways off his face. Saying that now, he says, what difference does any of it make? He follows the laboratory now. He was going to sell him to them. They cannot go back to being friends anymore, he says, and closes his eyes. Something in Gio's face twists hard at the word cannot. Chaewon lies there with his mouth open and waits for the next hit. What is he talking about, Gio says, and hauls him upright by the collar. Do not decide something like that on his own, he shouts into his face. Do not run away by announcing that all of it is already over. If he sold him out, then tell him what he got for it. At least make him understand. Even if it is only an excuse, he says, gripping his collar. Say something. At the very least, if he ever once considered him a friend. Yeah, Chaewon says at last, and closes his eyes against the light. Friend, he says, and something behind that word finally gives way entirely. 4 children in white are laughing in a training room, and one of them has no face. A skeleton grabs a silver-haired boy by the shirt, while sparks crawl over both of them. The 4 of them are showing off for each other with their hands in the air. They had quite a bit of fun back then, all things considered. Sorry, he says, standing there bleeding. He has nothing left to say. Then figures begin moving fast down a corridor somewhere behind the 2 of them. Gio's head comes up out of the middle of the argument. Armed men in fatigues are crawling forward across the metal with their weapons ready. Who? He says, throwing an arm up in front of the light. And then the tears come, before he even understands why they are there. Muzzle flashes light up the whole dark end of the factory at once. Guns, he says, running straight through them with his shirt already red. Heart mutant detected, a voice says on a radio, requesting backup inside the factory. Test subject 0001 escaped due to containment failure. They are to suppress him immediately. The child with the resurrection heart, a memory says, while rounds go through him. Maintain fire, someone orders. Keep shooting and then transport the target out. His face goes gray and the sweat runs off the end of his chin. He needs to run, he thinks, and drags himself toward the far wall. A filthy hand closes around a steel beam and pulls him upright. Chaewon goes down under them as the squad comes in from behind. A body drops from the upper level into the middle of the warehouse floor. The mutant is escaping, someone shouts on the radio. Chase him down right now. He drives a kick off the plating and takes 2 of them with it. Then he stops because of what is standing in front of him. Escape route secured, a voice reports. They have them surrounded front and back. He breathes hard in the dark with the sweat running down his face. Completely surrounded, he says, down on one knee in the middle of them. Stay alert, the squad leader says. Both of them are heart mutants. If they resist, shoot. If he is captured like this, he goes straight back to the laboratory. Once firing preparations are complete, the leader begins and a hand takes the radio away from him. A woman in a striped suit is standing between 2 armed men as though she owns the building. From now on, she will take control of this scene. Mutant Special Task Force leader Song Hai-in. The squad leader's eyes go very wide behind the visor of his helmet. Leader Song is here, the soldiers whisper to each other. How did she even get here? Cease fire, the leader shouts at them. Everybody lower their weapons right now. Heels cross the polished floor toward a boy who cannot stop shaking. He must be Geo, she says, and he simply stares up at her. Do not be afraid, she says. She came to help him. What she has not told him yet is what she knows about his other friends. She is Hyeji's older sister, she says, and lets that sit for a moment. Her name is Song Hee-in, she says, and smiles at him. Nice to meet him at last. Hyeji's older sister Geo says, and the sweat runs down both sides of his face. Do not worry, she tells him. She will handle the situation here herself. They came because of the mutant incident, correct? Yes, the captain says. That is correct. Restrict civilian access and call the paramedics, she says, and men start moving. Wait just a minute, somebody shouts from the far side of the factory floor. Does the Mutant Special Task Force ignore basic field protocol now? Says Captain Lim Jin-wook. They received the report first and secured the scene. Is she unfamiliar with police law? No, she says. This is an exception. With wanted mutants, her people take priority. Here is the warrant and the investigative file on Lee Chae-won. Now back off. The captain laughs at her. It seems there has been a misunderstanding here. He was not talking about that one. He was talking about the boy in the black shirt. The footage shows that Kid is a mutant too, and an unregistered one at that. Unregistered mutants count as civilians, which puts him under their jurisdiction. They are taking him. What are they doing? She says. Hold fire, and rifles come up all around the floor. Detain that unregistered individual immediately, the captain orders the men around him. What does he do now, Geo thinks, backing into a corner of the warehouse. 3 men in gray crawl forward with their sights already glowing pink. Then every weapon in the building comes apart in midair at once. The guns, one of them says, staring at the pieces, in a single instant. That is Team Leader Song Hai-in's ability, another one says very quietly. He clearly has not grasped the situation yet, she says, turning around. What does he think he is doing? The captain shouts. Did she use that on her own allies? She raises a single finger and taps it once against the air. The captain leaves the ground screaming while she smiles up at him. This case is a special investigation into Hermes' lab. Is anything more important than that? Hermes' lab, the captain repeats, and all the fight goes out of his face. Look around, she says. These are the traces of the fight those 2 just had. Then those 2 kids, he says slowly, turning his head toward them, are the high-risk mutants that Hermes' lab has been researching all along. Get tangled up with these people and it is not only hard to escape. Hand over control now. Wait a second, Geo says, stepping forward. Where are they taking Chae-won? Lee Chae-won is a wanted criminal, an officer says. The investigation follows formal arrest. 2 guards haul him up off the metal plating between the 2 of them. He is Kim Ji-oh, correct? They are going to need his testimony as well. He will have a private interview with the team leader, so please cooperate. An interview, he thinks, walking after them, with that extremely frightening person. She waits for him in a plain room with her arms behind her back. She stands behind a desk with a smile that does not reach anything. Something about this feels intimidating. Why is she looking at him like that? No need to be nervous, she says. She called him in because she has questions. She will get straight to the point. They are hunting Hermes' lab. Hyeji told her he was imprisoned there and escaped about 3 years ago. That is right, he says. It seems, she says, turning a page over, that he is still very much in the dark. In truth, every single one of his friends was recaptured by that laboratory. They probably never escaped. The lab let them go on purpose to hunt them down again. After recapturing them, they used their weaknesses to force obedience or bought them with promises. Then Chaewon did that too, he says, and the room goes quiet. His friend is not saying a word right now. Everything they know comes from the records. Team leader, the witness has arrived. Did she come of her own free will? Yes. Bring her in. Geo turns toward the door of the room as it opens behind him. Hello, says a girl in a wheelchair. She is Lee Chae-yun, Lee Chae-won's younger sister. An officer bows his head and steps back out of the room. She has no intention of forcing her, but they need to know the brother that she saw. Chae-yun looks down at her own hands while the tears start coming. This is all her fault, she says, without ever lifting her head. Her brother was not originally that kind of person. Everything changed because of her. She is so scared that if she speaks here, she will lose her brother all over again. If she stays silent, Ha-in says, her brother takes the fall for every part of it alone. Yes, Chae-yun says at last, and covers her whole face with both hands. She cannot let him carry that alone anymore. She will tell them everything she knows. Her brother came back home to them 3 years ago, she says. The moment he escaped that laboratory, he ran home to see her and their parents. But when he got home, their mother and father had already died, and she had been left alone after an accident, unable to do anything by herself. Chae-yun, he said, staring at the wheelchair. What on earth happened here? He is sorry he is so late, he told her, and promised to protect her no matter what. Her brother worked day and night carrying bricks while a foreman screamed at him. But because he had no legal identity at all, he was always short of money. And what little he did earn went straight into her medical bills. Then one day, 2 men in combat gear kicked in the door. The laboratory had come for him. Let go of her, he screamed at them. Brother, she screamed back at him while 2 men held her down. Get your hands off his sister, he roared. Lee Chae-won, said the man on the stairs. Long time. They did not come to catch him. They will not lock him up. They will give him a name and a job. In exchange, he only has to help them with their work, and something in his face dies. The lab paid for everything, her medicine, the house, even her school fees. He never told her what he was doing, but it was because of her, and she knows it. It is all her fault, she sobs, while an officer wheels her back toward the door. All of it, Geo thinks, only to get his little sister her medicine. Right, Ha-in says. That is the full story behind this entire incident. But let her make one thing perfectly clear, she says, and lays down a sheet of paper. Even if his goal was saving his sister, he still tried to hand Geo to the lab. Aside from this, Lee Chae-won will be punished for several other crimes committed for them. Does he want one last phone call with him before that happens? Geo does not answer her question for a very long moment. Yes, he says at last and bows his head over the table. Please. A hand hovers over the keypad of an old wall-mounted telephone. Then he lifts the receiver in a room with white tile and no windows. He is listening, right? He knows perfectly well that he picked up. He heard his story, he says into the receiver. All of it. About what happened after the lab, about his sister, about why he tried to sell him. All of it. Why did he not say anything, he asks, and his voice is not steady. On the other end, Chae-won lets out a breath and says nothing. The line stays open with a camera watching from the corner of the ceiling. Say something to him, Geo shouts into the silence on the line. Why the hell did he go and do something like that? You traitorous bastard, he says, with his teeth clenched around every word. At least make an excuse. Is he so ashamed he cannot even open his mouth? He tried to sell out his friend and drag him back into that living hell. He is a real piece of trash, Geo says, and Chae-won bows his head over the phone. He should spend the whole rest of his life rotting in regret. Chae-won closes his eyes on the other end of the open line. Yeah, he says quietly into the phone. He supposes that is fair enough. He reaches up to hang the receiver back onto its metal hook. The police said they would take good care of his sister. That promise is the only thing he has left to hold on to. He is definitely trash, Geo says suddenly, but his sister is innocent. So pay for his crimes and get out, and make him another burger later. It was delicious. A hand stays frozen on a plastic receiver halfway to the wall. Somewhere in his memory, a skeleton sits on a floor laughing with both fists up. And a boy in a patient gown wipes his face with the back of his wrist. Thank you, Chae-won says into the phone at last. Thank you, Kim Geo. The line clicks dead and Geo stands there holding a silent receiver. Is that enough for him? Ha-in says. He is more generous than she expected. But he really believed his other friends had escaped that place along with him. He was wrong. Those people are still holding his friends and using them however they like. He wants to save all of them, he says. Please let him help. She looks at him for a while, and then her hand settles on the phone. They would welcome his help, she says. But is he really going to be all right? It does not matter, he says, and closes his fist on the bloodied floor of his memory. He is not some weak skeleton anymore. He is going to save his friends and tear that lab apart. Night settles over the apartment blocks, and for once nothing in the city is on fire. Song Hyeji, a voice roars in the hallway, and Hee-in comes through the door at a run. She has not seen her in days. Did she not miss her big sister at all? Stop it, Hyeji says, while her sister rubs a cheek against her hair. She cannot breathe, she complains. Their cute little Hyeji missed her, right? The woman who dismantled a squad's rifles is now the sweetest person alive. By the way, G.O., is he all right? She heard there was serious trouble with his friend. That friend, he says, and rubs the back of his own head. It is fine, he tells her, smiling. Her sister took care of everything. That is a relief, Hyeji says, and lets her shoulders come down. Does he want some of the braised ribs he could not finish earlier? Right, she says, turning around. Her sister has not eaten anything yet either. She has to try the sweet and sour braised ribs, she announces, and lifts the pot. She was not joking about the ribs, Hye-in says, holding up an oyster on her chopsticks. Which idiot taught her this, she says, slip of the tongue. Who told her to make it this way? An app, Hyeji says brightly. It gave her the cooking time and the recipe in detail. An app, Hye-in repeats, glaring at a piece of fruit. Did a machine just mock a human being? Common sense says fruit in braised ribs turns into a soggy mess soaked in soy sauce. She will get a stomach ache eating this, and the phone screen shows only flattery. She wanted her sister to feel energized after work, Hyeji says very quietly. They are definitely going to get a stomach ache, Hye-in thinks, chewing. But you never really know with food until you try it. She does not have to force herself. It is unbelievably delicious, Hye-in says, and gives her a thumbs up. Really? Of course. Oysters are good, strawberries are good, and meat is good. It is simply a mix of everything that tastes good, she says, without blinking once. Hyeji lights up as though somebody turned every lamp in the kitchen on. Exactly, Gio agrees enthusiastically, and Hye-in gives him a very long look. This is so good he could eat it every day. Seriously? Yes, for real. It feels like the meat and fruit are dancing. He is a regenerator. Did his taste buds fail? Now, Hye-in says, setting down her bowl. Let's clear one thing up first, which happens to be the matter of Gio's living situation in this apartment. She told him to come in because it was an emergency. A grown man living with 2 women is a problem. But he is being hunted by the researchers, Hyeji says. Then where would he stay? She considered headquarters, but keeping his identity hidden matters more right now. Hold on a second, she says, and picks the phone back up. It is her. She needs an official residence urgently. Are there any vacancies at all? None right now. Soon then. Understood, she says, and hangs the phone up. The residences are full, so a room will take a while, but not too long. It makes no sense to find somewhere else in the meantime, so she will allow him to stay. That is great, Hyeji says, and the puppy barks its agreement from the floor. Wait, Hye-in says, and puts a sheet of paper down on the table. She is not finished. Gio's expression changes steadily as he watches her write it all out. In exchange, his only living space is the living room, and Hyeji's room is off limits. She slides across a list of 10 house rules with a signature line at the bottom. If he breaks them, she leaves the consequences to his imagination. He will follow everyone. And especially, she says, if she catches him inside her sister's room, he will see something far worse than anything he can currently imagine. Then let's try to get along for the time being. Yes, he says, staring at the page. Anyway, enough about living arrangements. Gio should come outside with her a moment. Him, he says, pointing at himself. Where exactly are the 2 of them going? She needs to check the exact extent of his mutation for herself. It is early morning, and there are almost no people around, so this empty lot will do. He said he wants to help them crush the lab. For that, she needs to know his abilities. If he gets hurt, he says carefully, he can regenerate his own body. It runs on blood. With enough absorbed, he can regenerate many times over. She does not think that regeneration is the only power he has. Looking at the scene of his fight, there were traces only enormous strength could leave. He thinks he has always had that. His physical stats have always been better than other people's. He never fully regenerated at the lab, so he never knew, and blood makes all of it stronger. So blood works as both medicine and a power source, she says, thinking. In that case, she says, and walks a few paces away from him. Something small and pink lands on the dirt in front of his feet. It is a grip dynamometer. He should squeeze it with everything he has. A grip tester, he says. He saw one of these at the laboratory once. Is this how he does it? He asks, turning it over in his hands. He crouches down and settles his fingers very carefully around the handle. Put strength into the hand, he thinks, and concentrates the blood into his palm. His teeth bare and his eyes go wide as the device begins to whine. It bursts apart in his fist and the pieces scatter across the lot. He crushed the dynamometer, she says. That thing measures up to 500 kilograms, which means that this boy's grip strength is higher than a gorilla's. He is sorry for breaking it. He did not think he was this strong before. He is stronger than she expected, she says, and touches her own cheek. Then she raises a hand and every loose stone in the lot comes off the ground. He turns around slowly with the sweat already starting on his forehead. Boulders come at him from every direction at once and he throws his arms up. He goes down under the barrage and comes straight back up out of it. He screams, and the last of the stones scatters off his forearms. She was controlling those on random trajectories. Dodging even two would have impressed her. With that level of physical ability, he is a high-rank heart mutant. Pardon, he says. Those stones were moving as if they were alive. Is her mutation some kind of superpower? She looks back at him without any expression on her face at all. Do not be stupid. Heart mutation abilities stay strictly within the realm of science. Unfortunately, her mutation is a national secret, so she cannot tell him anything about it. But he needs to keep his own abilities hidden too, and stay under the radar. Actually, she says, he probably understands that far better than she does. Since becoming human again, he has been using his power far too recklessly. There they are, a voice calls from the end of the lot. Let's go, Hyeji says, holding up a bag of drinks on the last evening before any of this gets harder. Nice, Gio says, with his whole face lit up like a child's. He really is just a kid, Hyen thinks, and lets herself smile at it. Where is she going? She has to take a work call. Save some for her. How is it? Hyeji asks. That is real cola. The last one he had was an imitation. This cola, he announces to the entire empty street, is genuinely delicious. The moment he drinks it, his brain lights up. It is sweet and it stings going down. It flips a switch inside his head, he says, and she laughs behind her hand. But this, he says, looking at the can. He feels like he has tasted it somewhere before. A man in a red apron sets a burger down on a tray in his memory. He had it once with the burger that Che-Wan made for him. What is wrong? Hyeji asks him, looking up into his face. Nothing, he says, and does not look back down at her. He just thought about his friend for a second, and about his other friends too. The two of them sit on a bench with all those lit windows in front of them. He really thinks about his friends a lot, she says. She can tell how much he treasures them. To him, they were like family. Thinking back on life at that lab still gives him nightmares. But the moments that he spent with those four people made him forget all of the pain, at least while they lasted. They were the ones who kept him breathing inside that place at all. He wanted all of them to escape and be happy. Instead, he was the only one who got out. His friends are still somewhere in that laboratory's hands right now, tonight, which is why he is going to save every single one of them, even if he has to fight the lab and tear the entire place down to the ground. Hyeji looks at him for a long moment without saying anything at all. She is not a mutant, so she does not know how much help she can possibly be. But if there is anything at all she can do, he only has to tell her anytime. Thanks, he says, and he means it far more than she knows. A few days later, a school appears from above, all green field and running track. A transfer student, the girls whisper. Look at those visuals, she needs his account. Quiet down, the teacher says. They have a transfer student today. Am I really here? He thinks. His heart is beating so hard it is driving him crazy, and he still does not understand how this happened. Nice to meet you, everyone, he says, because Hyen told him that if he went to school. What does he do now, Gio thinks at the front of the class. He is nervous enough to be sick. His name is Kim Gio, right? He is kind of cute, one of the girls whispers. Where did he transfer from? And is he any good at soccer? Every single person in this classroom is staring straight at him right now. 2 nights earlier, Hyen had told him she was giving him his first mission. She has been planning it for days, and this has to be the very first one. What is this? He said, pulling something white out of a paper bag. That is her school uniform, Hyeji said, and her eyes went enormous. Starting tomorrow, he goes to the same school as Hyeji. That is his first mission. A bell rings somewhere down a corridor lined with gray metal lockers. Feet move fast past a long row of school bags on the floor. Sandals slap across the polished tile as the whole building empties out. Hey, transfer student, what is his account? His shoulders are huge. Does he work out? Where did he transfer from? Is he from Seoul? How tall is he? What did he do before? Gio, Hyen had said flatly 2 nights ago. He reeks of that laboratory. He does? But he showered. She means he does not behave like a normal person at all.
To help with the investigation, he has to learn how to blend in properly.
No matter what happens, nobody can suspect he is a heart mutant. What is he doing this weekend? Is he joining any clubs? He does not know what to do. He thinks he has already been found out, and it is not even lunchtime. Then a palm slams down onto a desk hard enough to crack the wood. They are all talking so much that they are frightening him, Taegu announces. Gio moved from the next town, does not use social media, quit gaming, and is good at every sport. They know Taegu? The contrast between the two of them is honestly aggressive. Yeah, Taegu says grandly. The two of them are basically childhood friends. Anyway, come back later. They have not seen each other in forever and have catching up to do. Taegu, Gio says quietly, in the empty classroom afterward. Thank you. He heard everything from Hyeji. He has to act like a normal student, right? He knows this school inside and out, and Gio knew he could count on him. If there is anything he does not know, he only has to ask, Taegu says, giving a thumbs up. I don't know, Taegu says a period later, standing at the blackboard with his face gray. Brilliant. Exams are around the corner, and he has not memorized even this much. What bacteria causes the Black Death? Wow, Taegu says. They are really underestimating him. COVID, he announces to the entire classroom with complete confidence. COVID, the teacher repeats, and hits him on the head with a pointer. Taegu grins through it while somebody else covers their face with both hands. The transfer student, then. Why does he not try answering the question? He is asking Gio, Taegu thinks in horror. Gio is strong, but he is a complete idiot. It is Yersinia pestis, Gio says, with his hand up and a bright smile on his face. He is not like Taegu at all, somebody laughs from the back row. Did he actually study? Then what is the Indian social hierarchy? It is the caste system. The holy site that triggered the Crusades? Jerusalem. Who divided Rome in two? Diocletian. The three words of the French Revolution. Liberty, equality, fraternity, and Sarajevo. Unbelievable, the teacher says, and puts a hand over his own mouth. In all his years of teaching, he has never seen a student answer that fast. Applause, everyone. That is insane. He must be a genius. Was he top of his class at his old school? He is not a dummy, Taegu screams internally with his whole face falling apart. The school stands there in the afternoon light with its flag out front. Gio, Taegu shouts on the walk home. How does he know all of that? Sarai, what? What kind of incident is that? Oh, Sarajevo, Gio says helpfully. He does not know either, he says cheerfully, zipping up his jacket. Taegu stops walking entirely in the middle of the road. Wait, he does not know? Then how did he get every single answer right? The laboratory let them borrow the textbooks they used for the learning class. He simply read them over and over. Thinking about making friends while reading made him happy. Taegu stares at him in the middle of the street without saying anything. He memorized entire textbooks because there was nothing else to do in there. Damn it, Taegu says and covers his eyes. What kind of life has this boy been living? Next period is physical education. He will show him something more fun than textbooks. The gym floor fills up with students in identical white gym uniforms. Today's class is dodgeball, the teacher says, holding the ball above his head. Class 1 is full of losers, somebody says. Class 2 is dead meat. Taegu, Gio says quietly. What is dodgeball? Right, Taegu says. He would not know. He throws the ball from his own zone and dodges the ones coming back. That is the whole game. Throwing and dodging. Can he even do that? Do not worry, Taegu says. Trust him this time. Taegu takes the very first ball of the game directly in the face. Class 1, Joe Taegu out, the teacher announces completely flatly. The gym erupts. Taegu, are you okay? Gio asks, crouching over him. That was a tickle, Taegu says. It is nothing. Taegu, his nose is bleeding. This is no time to worry about him, Taegu says, gripping his sleeve. Because Gio is now the only player left standing on their side of the court. Sorry, Taegu says from the floor. Dodgeball is not exactly his specialty. But it is not hard, Taegu says. Just dodge and throw. Neither of them notices the man watching from the gym doorway. If he is worried about being caught using his powers, he should move with half his strength. Remember, Taegu shouts as the teacher drags him off. Only half. Okay, Gio says. My bad, one of the other team calls, laughing. Use only half, Gio repeats. How exactly is a person supposed to use only half of themselves? Hey, transfer student, somebody shouts. This is no time to space out. He is out of here too, the boy yells, and puts everything into the throw. It is coming right at him. What is he supposed to do? The ball fills up his entire field of vision at once. Half, he thinks desperately. How does anybody use only half their power? Half his body's power, he decides. Wait, is it like this then? He is dodging everything, somebody screams. He is a complete professional at this. The transfer student is insane, another one says, staring across the court. He is not moving his legs at all, one of them notices. He is dodging every single ball using nothing but his upper body. He is making fools of Class 2. Is that even physically possible? Stop! Tegu screams from the sideline. Who told him to split his body in half? This is not it, Gio thinks. Was it supposed to be left and right instead? The next ball takes him in the face while he is thinking about it. Didn't they throw that a bit hard? Hey, transfer student, are you okay? He has a nosebleed, one of them says. Hey, is he actually all right? Gio starts laughing on the floor and everybody decides he is fine. Hieji, look at that transfer student from Class 2. He is handsome and good at sports. Yeah, she says, chin in her hand. He is adjusting well enough. The sky over the school turns orange and everyone scatters toward the gates. So how was his first day of school? Tegu asks on the road home. Not easy trying to keep a secret like that, is it? He says with his hands behind his head. If he ever needs help, he only has to say. He is the only person Gio can trust at that school. Yeah, Gio says at last, it is definitely different from the laboratory. Nobody is controlling him there, and everybody says whatever they feel like saying. And at the snack bar, apparently, a person can buy anything at all if they have money. To be honest, he says, it still feels a little awkward to him. But strangely enough, he had so much fun today. He would never have had any of it alone. Thank you, he says, and smiles at both of them under the streetlights. Don't get sappy on them, Tegu says. He still has a ton left to teach him. Somewhere else, a low building sits alone on a stretch of dead ground. Any word from the lab? They have not realized that anybody is skimming the goods yet. Good. A few more days of playing nice and they are finished. Wait, one of them says and looks toward the far side of the room. Who the hell is that, he says, because somebody is sitting on their floor eating noodles. Oh, the stranger says, they are early. He has not finished eating yet. Is he a vagrant? Get him out of here. Yes, sir, one of them says. The soup, the man protests as hands close on his collar. He was not done with the soup. What is wrong with this lunatic? Forget the soup. Does he want his head cracked open? Let's see, the stranger says, still chewing on it. Is this the face? Why is it so hard to see anything at all in here? Oh, he says. He still had his sunglasses on. That is better. Something goes off like a gunshot and a man's head snaps sideways. Get lost while he is still being nice about it before he kills them. Boss, one of them screams from the floor, his hand. My hand, the man shrieks, and the stranger tells him to stop being a baby. A body folds down onto the concrete in front of that lazy, unhurried silhouette. They are on their way back from the lab with the cash, right? How much is it? Somewhere inside a chest, a cracked stone heart floods red and starts pumping. He will take that as payment, says a man named Kang Do-hyung, with bone showing through his hand. Pass, somebody shouts across a green field. Block him, block him. It has been a week since he started going to school, and the game does not stop for him. The first mission Hyein gave him was to act like a normal person and live an ordinary life. At first he was worried his identity might come out, and whether he was behaving strangely. But studying with people his own age, eating with them, living beside them, he realized something. School is a far more enjoyable place than he ever imagined it could be. G.O., Tegu screams from halfway down the pitch. Shoot it! He still cannot quite believe that he gets to run around like this again. He traps the ball on his chest with his whole face screwed up in concentration. He plants his standing foot and swings with everything he has, and puts the ball straight into somebody's back at point-blank range. Kim Gio is a certified clown. Half the field howls. Is he good at sports or terrible? Even to himself, he seems fairly close to a normal person now. Cleaning is finished, Hiji calls from the steps. It is all thanks to her and Tegu. The three of them walk home together through an alley full of orange evening light. This thing called a chicken skewer smells incredible. The savory smell wraps around his whole face. He does this every time somebody buys him something, Taegu says. How long is he going to admire it? If he is only going to look at it, Taegu will eat it. He is going to share it with Twigum. Dogs should not eat seasoned food like that, Hyeji says, and his whole world collapses. Then all three of them stop. Did a strange sound just come from over there? A man lies flat on the pavement, one lens of his sunglasses hanging off. He used his powers too much. He fought all night and does not have the strength left to walk anywhere. He needs to eat something, he thinks, staring at a strip of white flowers. A flower bed, he says out loud, with genuine and terrible hope. Right. If it is only dirt, he can at least absorb it through his heart for now. He should not eat dirt, a voice says above him, and a hand catches his wrist. He is not trying to eat dirt, the man protests. No, Gio says firmly. He was hungry and tried it too. Eating dirt only makes a person's stomach hurt. He should eat plants instead. The dandelion leaves and the clover here are perfectly edible. Gio, Haiji says carefully. He is not supposed to eat those either. Really, he says. No, the man says, holding both hands up. They seem to have a serious misunderstanding. They already think he is homeless, he thinks, while 3 teenagers stare down at him. Then he lifts his head and sniffs the air. Wait, that's smell. Can he give him that, he asks, pointing at the skewer. Excuse me, Gio says. He has not taken even a single bite out of it yet. This homeless mister feels like looking at his own past self, just as Hyeji once did for him. Then he can have 1 bite, Gio says, offering it out with a shaking hand. 1 bite, the man repeats, and opens his mouth entirely too wide. The entire skewer disappears in one motion while Gio screams. The man burps and chews the bare wooden stick thoughtfully. He feels like he can live again, he announces, flat on his back on the pavement. Thank you so much, he says. The chicken, the onions, and the seasoning blended perfectly. He will definitely pay him back for this, he adds, and starts digging in his bag. 3 teenagers look down into that bag and stop breathing at the same moment. Here, he says, holding out a fistful of notes. This should be enough of a reward, right? He was not a beggar, Taigu screams, holding a bill up to the light. Take it. It is a token of gratitude. Is this not too much? Take it, Taigu hisses, 30 skewers. And then a hand closes around the money from somewhere behind them. A motorcycle tears away down the street, with the whole bag swinging off the rider's arm. A pickpocket, Hiji screams. That was her textbook money. That bag is about to lead Gio to somebody he lost 10 years ago. She will report them to the police right now, she says. Then she stops. Where did everybody go? She asks the completely empty street. Bring back that bag, Tegu roars, sprinting after the bike with notes flying loose. Let's go together, Gio, he shouts back over his shoulder. They have 3 guys on them? Do they think they can catch a motorcycle on foot? Tegu, Gio says, drawing level. He will chase them alone from here. Right, Tegu realizes. It is hard for Gio to use his powers with people watching. He is falling, Taigu yells and grabs the nearest man by the coat on the way down. What is he doing? The man snaps. Sorry, Taigu grins. He almost fell. But do not worry, he says. Gio will definitely get that bag back. Good, Gio thinks, alone on the road. There are no eyes on him now. He drives 1 foot down into the pavement and launches himself forward. 2 of them are running flat out with the wind tearing at their hair. The rider looks back and finds a schoolboy matching a motorcycle stride for stride. How did this bastard catch up to them? He screams inside his helmet. Faster, the man behind him shrieks. Shake him off right now. The bike clips something and Gio goes up over the top of it. What kind of physical strength is that? Did they lose him yet? The rider's eyes go very wide behind the visor of his helmet. The distance is not widening at all. This punk is not a normal human. Is he a variant? A man with a dragon tattoo turns around on the back of the bike. There, he shouts, pointing upward. Knock all of that down on him. Variant or not, he screams over the engine. Eat this and get lost. A stack of concrete comes down across the whole width of the alley. Gio throws himself into the middle of it with his arms up. His face twists and his teeth clamp shut against the impact. Got him, the rider yells, as the dust swallows everything behind them. See you, the passenger says, waving back at the pile of rubble. The street is left buried under a heap of broken slabs and dust. Ugh, his head, Gio says, crawling out of the pile on his elbows. He needs to catch up again, he thinks, and then he hears the voices. What is this? Somebody says. Is that person over there all right? Shouldn't somebody call an ambulance? A crowd has already gathered around him. Above the rooftops, the sky has gone orange and pink at the edges. A motorcycle rolls into a yard full of tin roofing and stacked drums. Nobody is chasing them anymore, right? Nobody at all, the rider says. Anyway, the profit this time is sweet. Wait, the passenger screams. Look ahead. The man in the sunglasses is standing in the middle of their own yard. The first punch caves in the entire front of a helmet. The 2 of them go through the yard in a spray of dirt and broken metal. Both riders end up on their knees on the concrete with their hands up. Why are they running so desperately, he asks, walking after them at a stroll. As long as they are touching the ground, he can feel every step they take. Is this bastard a variant too? One of them says, clutching the bag against his chest. That money is not for them, the man says, and half his face is cracked stone. Hand it over, he says, and holds out one open palm. Bullshit, the tattooed man spits, pushing himself back up off the dirt. Does he think being a heart variant means his belly is wrapped in iron plate? Engines start up all around the yard in the dark at once. More riders come in through the shed doors, grinning under their helmets. This is their hideout, the man says. He walked into it himself. Perfect, another one says. Then they will sell him off as well. Oh, really? He says, and slowly lifts one hand toward them. For that, he tells them, they are far too short on numbers. A cracked stone heart floods red somewhere deep inside his chest. Ram into him so that he cannot use his powers, somebody screams. A dozen machines come at him at once down the length of the yard. And then every rider feels the handlebars start to shake in their hands. What is this? One of them says. The ground is shaking. Is it an earthquake? Rocks are coming up out of the ground. This man is not a normal variant at all. He will bury their entire hideout, he says, and the yard folds in on itself. The blast throws stone and white light across the whole compound. Team leader, an officer says, and slides a file across a desk. Here is the data on the tracking target that she requested earlier. Kang Dong-wook, technical team leader at the construction firm tied to the laboratory. He looks fairly young, she says, holding the photograph up to the light. She should contact Geo about this as soon as possible. Is this man related to that friend of his? The officer asks her. Who knows, she says, and does not look up from the page. He could be the friend Geo is looking for, or he could be nobody at all. But, she says, and something like a smile touches the corner of her mouth. Her intuition tells her he is exactly the friend that Kim Geo has been looking for. They found his friend, Geo shouts into the phone, already halfway out of his chair. Don't get worked up, she says. Nothing is confirmed yet, so he should calm down. The uniform suits him, she adds. How is school life treating him so far? He is having a lot of fun, but being at school makes him think about his friends even more. So, he says, what did she mean when she said they might know one of his friends? He is somebody they are currently investigating, and he is about the same age. So check whether this is really one of them, she says, and slides over a photograph. That face, Geo says, staring at it. Is he really his friend? Yeji asks. That is the homeless man from earlier today, he says. Homeless, Hyen repeats. He ate his entire chicken skewer just now, and before that he was eating dirt. His name is Kang Dong-wook. Does that ring any bell at all? No, Geo says. His eyesight was bad at the lab because his regeneration never finished properly. Both the name and the face are completely new to him. Then he stops. Wait a second, he says, and stands up so fast the chair goes over. That ability of his that turns a body into solid stone, he says. That is Kang Do-hyung. Not Kang Dong-wook at all. Kang Do-hyung. With that ability, it has to be him. Is she sure the man uses a stone-type power? That is right, she says, watching his face. Heart of stone. Where is he right now? Geo asks, and his voice has gone very flat. Kang Do-hyung is helping that laboratory, exactly the way Lee Chae-won was. Because of it, he became the head of a construction firm worth hundreds of billions. Do-hyung as well, Geo says quietly, just like Chae-won before him. That is why, she says, there is a mission she would like his help with. So what does he think about it? Will he actually do it? Something in his face settles for the first time in an entire week. Of course he will, he says, and puts both hands flat on her desk. Somewhere in his memory, a small skeleton sits alone on a hospital floor. There is a subcontractor called Hoden Construction that handles various public works. He will hide his identity and go to the site where Kang Do-hyung works and meet him there. And he will find out exactly what business that man is doing with the laboratory. But there is one thing he must keep in mind. His friends are no longer the friends he remembers. Do-hyung is far more deeply tangled with the lab than Chae-won ever was. If he can persuade Kang Do-hyung and even go as far as using him, then they might be able to drag the laboratory itself out into the open. The people hiding at the back of all this and using his friends like tools. Why is he doing this? Taegu howls, hauling 2 enormous sacks across a construction yard. Geo said it was to find and help his friend, but nobody mentioned this much manual labor. Taegu, is this not too hard on him? He appreciates it, but he does not have to go this far. What is he talking about? Taegu says. This is nothing. He does not know yet what is buried under this construction site. Besides, he is infiltrating his friend's company. This is a full-on spy mission. Just leave it to him, he says, grinning under a hard hat. Thanks, Geo says. So when is he going to see this friend, Do-hyung? He does not actually know where he is. He does not even know where he is? Was the plan to wander the site until he randomly appears? Is that bad, Geo asks. Of course it is. His friend is the company president on top of that. First, they should at least go ask the older workers, Taegu decides. Will they even tell them? He is Joe Taegu. Men like that fall over themselves if you flatter them twice. Who are these 2 little punks stinking up the place? A foreman roars at them. Can they not see the adults are busy? If they have time for questions, they can use their heads. Kids these days come running the moment anything is difficult, he says, and keeps going. And that pretty boy who told him to run around carrying things like that. Move all of that within 1 hour. If they cannot, they can go home. All of that within an hour, Gio repeats, looking at the mountain of bags. Move it! The foreman shouts, and both of them snap upright. Yes, sir! He told them not to hire kids, the old man mutters, walking off across the yard. They are not even giving them a chance to ask. They will have to finish this first. But how are they supposed to move all of that in 1 hour? Tegu says helplessly. He already got yelled at for running with too much weight. If he runs again, more yelling. Then they carry more and walk instead, Gio says, and lifts 8 cement bags at once. 8 bags is 160 kilos, Tegu screams. Normal people cannot carry this. Not exactly, Gio admits. Then he will move it like this instead. Huh, says the foreman, looking up from his clipboard. He is running again, somebody shouts. He is not running this time, Gio calls back. He is speedwalking, he explains, at roughly 40 kilometers an hour. Wait up, Kim Gio, Tegu wheezes, already 30 meters behind him. Hold on. Is he carrying 8 bags of cement? What kind of strength is that? All the cement has been moved, Gio reports back at the foreman's elbow. They did it inside the hour, Tegu says, gripping his arm. What should they do next? Look at all that extra energy, the foreman says, doing everything by brute force like that. There is still cement on the other side, he begins, and Gio is already gone. Excuse him, coming through, he calls, weaving between men and scaffolding poles. They moved the cement from the other side too, he announces, while Tegu wheezes behind him. What else can they help with? He asks, and 2 grown men stare at him in horror. Is that so? One of them manages to say. Then, in that case. By afternoon, the 2 of them are hauling timber past workers who have stopped pretending not to watch. Those kids are actually pretty tough. Unlike most kids, they are diligent and fast. If every young person were like them, they would welcome them with open arms. Then a cable spool tears loose across the yard with a crack like a whip. Everybody look out, somebody screams, and a live line whips through the air. Mr. Song, a worker screams from across the yard. Move, now! A hand closes around the live cable in midair and holds it. Hey, man, Tegu screams, running toward him across the concrete. Blue current crawls up his arm and lights his whole body from the inside. Hit the switch, somebody yells, and a palm slams into the breaker box. The cable drops and Gio goes down with it. Gio, Tegu shouts. Is he okay? They shout. He did not get electrocuted, did he? He is fine, he says, laughing. He did not get shocked at all. That was close. The current was weaker than he expected. He almost exposed himself as a heart mutant. That could have been very bad, a worker laughs, thumping him. Thanks, kid. Where does a small guy like him get power like that? He grabbed that cable like a wildcat. He is glad it passed without suspicion. But this site is far more dangerous than he expected. No wonder the older men here are on edge every hour of the day. Gee-oh, Tegu says quietly. They have accepted him now. Should they try asking? But if Hyen asks too directly, the laboratory becomes suspicious, so they go around it. Excuse him, Gio says brightly. Is there anywhere here with lots of people their own age? Their age? Isn't that lot over there their age group? The foreman says. All around 40. That joke is a bit harsh, another one laughs. He would have said early 30s. He is 17, Gio protests, and Tegu claps a hand over his mouth. Early 20s then. Hoden Construction has a whole crowd of young people, right? Hodan Construction, Gio repeats instantly. Where exactly can they find them? That place is brutal to work at. Good money, but twice as hard to enter and twice as rough. Anyway, they are right over there. Please just tell them where, Tegu begs. Speak of the devil, the foreman says, and points across the yard. A white van rolls to a stop in front of the concrete building. A pair of extremely expensive sneakers steps down onto the asphalt. What are those clothes, Tegu says. What kind of construction workers? Wear designer brands like that. They are covered head to toe in luxury labels. Oh, says the foreman beside them, and his voice changes completely. Another pair of shoes comes around the side of a parked car. That guy, Gio says, and everything else in the yard stops mattering. The man pulls his sunglasses down and looks straight across at him. Isn't he the kid who gave him that chicken skewer the other day? He is right, isn't he? The man says, touching his own forehead. They have met before, right? He says, and something behind his eyes narrows. Of course they have, Kang Do-hyung, Gio thinks. He knows him very well indeed. They have met, he says out loud. It has been a little over 10 years. They have met before, the man repeats, pushing the sunglasses up onto his head. Of course they have, Kang Do-hyung, Gio says, and smiles at him. He knows this man better than almost anybody else alive. They met a long time ago. It has been over 10 years now. Right, the man laughs. He is the kid with the chicken skewers. What a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. He came looking for him because he knew he worked here. He came looking for him, Do-young repeats, and the smile thins out. Starting from right now, Gio says, he is joining his company, and whatever ties him to that laboratory, he is going to cut it clean through. Somewhere in his memory, a boy sits alone on a tiled floor in a patient gown. So the reason he came looking for him, Do-young says from a leather chair, is because he wants to join the company. Yes, Gio says. That is right. He appreciates the thought, but that is going to be difficult. Go home. He thought Do-hyung would say that because he has always been a man of principle, but eventually he is going to need him because Gio knows far too much about him. He needs him? Him, Do-young repeats, sitting up in the chair. Let him show them, Gio says, and starts walking across the office. Why would they need a punk like him? What exactly is he going to show them? Stop wasting time and get lost, someone says, and a paper cup lands on the floor. Gio picks up a board and slides it to the other end of the table. Do-young watches him do it without saying a single word. Every man in the room turns to see what he is doing now. Gio, Taegu hisses. He cannot just touch things here however he wants. What is he doing? Why is he moving that? Why is he doing whatever he likes? Why is he moving that too? Somebody screams as an entire cabinet slides across the room. All done, Gio says, and stands back from what used to be their office. This is the most efficient flow of movement possible in this space. What nonsense is this? A man shouts. Drag that punk out of here. Tell him why it is efficient, Do-young says quietly, and the room goes silent. He is right-handed, so the coffee cup belongs on the right side of the desk. The documents are organized by the date they were received, and the last one in that pile has the laboratory's name on it. The pen holder sits where it blocks nothing and still stays within arm's reach. And moving that entire cabinet, Do-hyung says, pointing across the room at it. It was covering the window that shows the entire construction site. For a chief executive who has to supervise everything, that window is essential. Nonsense, one of them shouts. They arrange things efficiently in their own way already. If they had, Gio says, the accident today would never have happened. Efficiency is not only about being fast. It means anyone can read the workflow instantly. And it means being able to respond the moment a hazard appears. That is true efficiency. It is the only way to make sure accidents like this morning never happen again. These men did not even realize an accident had happened, Do-young thinks. Speak, foreman. Did he know an accident occurred on his site today, or did he not? He has not received a report yet. He needs a report to know that? The scattered materials, the missing workers. The delay is visible from the window. And him, Do-young says, turning around and pointing straight at Gio. Then his whole face splits open into an enormous grin. He thoroughly exposed something that even Do-young himself had managed to overlook. He will reevaluate all of it from the beginning. The boy taught him all of this himself. If they set it up like this, a smaller voice once said, the pathway gets wider. Do-hyung, the skeleton had said, was even worried about the others getting hurt. Really? The boy said, rubbing the back of his neck. Then he will teach him a little. He starts work at their company today, Do-young says. But as an intern for now, he has things to do, so he is leaving. They will sign the contract when he returns. Thank you, Gio says. Taegu stares at him. He won over the chief executive by himself. He knows Do-young well, Gio says. Now he only needs to uncover the lab business. Behind them, a man on the floor is watching him with an expression that has nothing kind in it. Arrogant little brat, one of them says, once the door has closed behind him. The rest of them gather in the dark with their designer jackets and their bad ideas. An hour later, both boys are hauling drainage pipe into a trench in the ground. At least he got closer to Do-young, Taegu says. That alone is a huge win. Hey, the foreman screams. Who told them to lay this down like that? It is supposed to go the other way around. They are punks, both of them. Wait a minute. They only did what they were told. Since when did he say that? Stop talking back to him and lay it the other way right now. Another hour later, they have laid the entire line again, both of them gasping. What are they doing laying the drainage pipe already? The foreman roars. Taegu stops dead with both hands still on the pipe. They have not even leveled the slope yet. Who told them to lay pipe first? He definitely told them to lay it now. They only did it because he said so. Are they talking back to him? If they have a problem with it, they can get lost. Pull it all out again. He will give them 1 hour to do it. And as he turns away, Taegu catches the smirk on his face. Those men are bullying them on purpose and enjoying every minute of it. They think the two of them are pushovers, Taegu says, and something in him snaps. Gee, oh, he says brightly, he needs to go to the restroom. Taegu, is he angry? Just wait, he tells him. His big brother is going to sort this out personally. Those men went in here, he mutters, easing open a site office door. Efficiency, one of them is saying. What a load of nonsense from a puny brat. They already have enough people to pay. They keep bothering them until they quit. The foreman is on their side anyway. They blame every mistake on those two. That is enough, Taegu roars, and kicks the door the rest of the way open. Did they think he would just sit around and take it? He will beat all of them. When did this punk get here without making a sound? Does he want a beating? They have been giving them the runaround all day. Did they think he would not notice? He really wants to hit them, Taegu thinks, but he cannot simply start swinging. They started this, he shouts. Go ahead and try. He is not the only one with fists. Stop it, somebody says, pushing between them. What are they doing with a kid? And him, the foreman says. He does not even know how to do anything properly. At least his friend is smart with the work. What exactly does he contribute? They think they are the only ones working here. He is far stronger than any of them. Oh, really? One of the men says and starts to smile. He is strong, is he? Then how about a round of arm wrestling, he says and sets his elbow on the table. If Taegu wins, they will acknowledge him and stop bothering the two of them. Arm wrestling, Taegu repeats, looking at the elbow on the table. That is suddenly extremely childish of them, he adds, adjusting his helmet. But they messed with the wrong person. He is Joe Taegu, and he has never lost at school. That smirking face of his, the man thinks across the table. A hand closes around Taegu's with a grip that does not feel human. He will turn it into a crying face soon enough. The back of Taegu's hand hits the table before he has finished bracing. What is this? He says, staring at his own arm. He is strong. This man is no joke at all. In a real fight, he would have been finished. He lost, right? Then both of them quit and get out. When did he agree to that? Did he think the rules would only work in his favor? Obviously, the loser leaves. That was their goal from the start. One slam and his capillaries have already burst. But it would be a shame to end it here, the man says, and squeezes. Let's arm wrestle a little longer, he says, while Taegu screams into the tabletop. He is sorry, Taegu gasps. He will go back to work right now, but he is fine himself. He does not think his friend will agree to any of this. Should his friend not also arm wrestle to properly understand the situation? He can persuade the boy himself, the man says, and does not let go. It is no use, Taegu howls. He can never break that boy's stubbornness. If Geo comes, all of them go down at once. So please, he begs them, break his stubbornness for him instead. Because his hand is going to be crushed either way, the man says, tightening his grip. Clench his fist tight, he says, and drives it down against the wood. Otherwise, it is going to be crushed flat. Mother! Taegu screams into the table. Father! Save him, Geo! He shrieks, with a hand closing over his whole face. And then another hand comes down and takes hold of the man's wrist. Every head in the room turns at once. 3 men stand very still under the wooden beams. The foreman's expression starts to change. So does the expression of the man holding Taegu down. Geo! Taegu says from under the table in a voice full of relief. The rules of arm wrestling are a little different here, Geo says. Do it with him instead, he says, and sets his elbow down on the wood. So the rules for arm wrestling are a little different here, the man says slowly. Then he should do it with him instead, Geo says, both fists on the wood. Somewhere far back in his memory, a boy in a patient gown sits alone on tile. Look at this lunatic volunteering himself, one of them laughs from the wall. These punks think a person's hands are a joke, Taegu screams. Look at his arm. Their arm wrestling has its own rules. If he gets hurt, he covers his own medical bills. He was going to go easy because his friend tried so hard. Now he will not bother. Because his arm might end up completely wrecked, the man says and takes his hand. 2 hands lock together over the table and the tendons come up on both. This brat has no awareness of his own position. He even had the nerve to sit down first. He will wreck the hand so badly the boy never forgets it, and in about 4 seconds he will regret every part of that thought. He will finish this in under a second, he thinks. Ready. Go, somebody says, and the man throws everything he has into it. Then he is looking down at his own forearm, and it is bent the wrong way. My arm, he screams, with the whole room turning red behind him. 3 men look down at their friend writhing on the concrete. Reset his grip, Geo says without raising his voice. A fist closes on the tabletop and the wood gives out under it. Taegu comes off the wall swinging and the whole office erupts. My arm, the second man howls, curled around it on the floor. Assistant Joe, somebody screams, staring at what used to be his hand. What the hell did he do? They shout, and 3 of them come at him at once. He lowers his head and waits for them. The first 2 go down coughing before they reach the table. The rest charge him across the room together. This psycho, one of them screams, swinging something metal. A hand closes over his face and stops him dead. A boot catches the last one across the jaw and puts him into the floor. 3 of them pile onto him, and none of it slows him down at all. "He is not some average kid," the foreman screams from the doorway. "Everyone get him," somebody yells, and the room fills with raised weapons. "Stop," says a voice from the entrance, and every single one of them freezes. 4 men stand very still with their fists still in the air. Gio looks up from under his hair without any expression at all. "You idiots," Kang Do-young says, standing in the doorway. "What exactly does he think they are all doing in here?" "President," the foreman says, both hands going up. He does not finish the sentence before he is off his feet. He told them to train the new hires properly, not to torture them. No, Taegu thinks, if this escalates any further, Gio might actually get fired. "Wait," he shouts. "They have it all wrong. They were only arm wrestling, that is all." "No," Gio says. "That man started bullying his friend first." "Kim, Gio!" Taegu screams. He does not need it spelled out. These pathetic men throwing their weight around is nothing new. "But he," Do-young says, pinning the foreman to a wall. "He went far too far. Look at the state he left them in. 1 arm broken and 1 nose smashed to pieces." "That is true of his friend as well," Gio says. "His hand cannot even make a fist. So he paid them back in full, so that none of them ever try it again." "Listen to him," Do-young says, still talking back right to the very end. "He has been cutting him slack. Is he asking to have his face rearranged? It is not that he wants to be hit. He speaks because nothing changes if he stays quiet. Something behind those sunglasses goes very still. What changes if he speaks up?" a small voice once said. "The experiments continue anyway. Nothing changes if they stay quiet," a skeleton shouted back at him. "He can endure it when it is only him. He will never endure it when it is his friend. This kid," Do-young thinks, standing over him. "He is bringing back the old days." "Gio!" Taegu says weakly. "It looks like they are finished. They are so going to be fired." "Fired? Who said anything about that? Does he think he can cause this and just walk off?" "They are not getting fired," Taegu says, staring at him. "The man whose arm he broke will be in hospital a while. Somebody has to cover his work." "The important job Assistant Joe was doing," a man begins. "Shut it," Do-young says. "He is already holding back a great deal as it is." "So he is the one who has to do that job instead," Gio says. "What kind of job is it?" "He does not need to know yet. Be here at 5 tomorrow morning. He will train him personally." The next morning at 5, the site sits black and silent under a dark blue sky. Calling him out this early means it is something secret, something tied straight to the lab. "He is here," Do-young says with a cigarette between 2 fingers. "Stay close. They are going pretty far in." "Yes, sir," Gio says. "Pretty far in," he repeats, and a thumb presses a red button. "They are going down. Is there a basement under this site?" The old freight elevator keeps sinking so deep he cannot see the bottom of the shaft. "What is wrong? Getting nervous?" "A little, yes," Gio admits. Funny from the kid who told him off to his face yesterday, president or not. He cannot stand it when his friend is picked on. So that is why he paid them back. Better than the ones who only talk and never act. He does not hate that. Still, he says, do not pull any stunts down here like he did upstairs. If he causes trouble down here as well, Do-young will kill him. The elevator grinds to a halt in front of a heavy door. "They are here," he says. "Get off." And Gio steps out under the construction site. A tunnel that runs so far he cannot see where it ends. What is Do-young planning with that laboratory that he needed something like this? Everything he sees down here counts as a company secret. The work itself is simple. Move all of these drums to the marked locations along the tunnel. "Drums," Gio says. "What is inside them?" "No questions," Do-young says. "Have them all moved by the end of today. He will be paid a great deal for it." He is heading out. "Get it done," he says, and the door closes behind him. It is strange seeing him again in person. He almost slipped and revealed who he is. He needs to find out what Do-young and the lab are plotting before he says anything. But these drums, he thinks, walking down the line of them, what is actually inside? They are sealed tight. They were never meant to be opened at all. But still, he can simply force one open, he decides, and sets both hands against the lid. It pops open with a sound that carries all the way down the tunnel, and his whole face changes. That smell. He recognizes that smell. Do not tell him this is one of the lab's chemicals. He climbs up onto the rim and lowers a hand into the green. If he absorbs it together with blood, he will know exactly what it is. His one visible eye stretches wide. He goes down onto the floor with the stuff still clinging to his skin. He lifts a hand that is coming apart at the fingers. There is no doubt it is the same poison they used on him for 10 years. Kang Do-hyung. What exactly is he really planning down here? He needs to contact Hyen. This is solid proof tying the site directly to the laboratory. And above him, behind a pane of glass, somebody has been watching the whole time. Two hands locked together in the dark, and the skin over them cracks like stone. Just as he figured, Do-young says, sitting forward in his chair. He never thought he was some ordinary kid. He is a heart mutant. So what is he? Police? Or another group hunting the laboratory's chemicals? Whatever he is, he will know once he has captured him, and a stone heart floods red. His ability is regeneration, he tells the men lining up behind him with bats and blades. So do not hold back. Stab him, smash him, and tear him apart. Find out exactly how far that regeneration of his actually goes. So tell him, Kim Jio, after all of it, which of your friends is left to save you now?